Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
The Lou Williams situation here goes to Atlanta, goes to a strip club to order takeout. But Mark Stein, what is the violation?
Any public place is, to me, an egregious violation. I mean, the bubble has started. You're on an excused absence to attend a family funeral. Does it really need to be explained that the only place you should go is that family funeral? It was irresponsible. It was selfish. Thank God it was photographed. He could have gotten back here and no one would have known where he was. And that would have been 10 times worse.
Order up!
Yeah, Paul.
If you order your wings dry rubbed at a strip club, there's a whole different connotation.
Okay.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 1 on this Tuesday, Dan and the Danettes. Dan Patrick Show. Hope you're doing okay. Stay a while if you can. You can watch, listen, email, tweet, text, all the above. Say good morning to our radio affiliates around the world, 362 affiliates, youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. Chat row, Tyler the Moderator there, chat row. We got a big reveal with Tyler the Moderator coming up. Tyler the Rapper Moderator, from what I'm hearing.
Excuse me?
Sources close to me. At the end of yesterday's show, I go back into the storage area in the back of the garage here behind the man cave. And what do I see but Tyler, the Moderator, getting ready to do a rap video. I don't know what it's about. I didn't know what it's about. And I think it's going to be revealed maybe tomorrow or the next day. Yes, Paulie.
Were you in it? Was it
No.
Tyler, the Moderator, feet Dan Patrick?
No feet.
Oh.
No feet. The French kid was shooting it. Weeks, the cameraman, was out there as well. And the big German was there. Penny, the dog, was there. I mean, it was a music video there. Yes, Todd.
Is there a budget concern there? Is there smoke and dancers, or what are they doing?
Somebody a little jealous there. Remember you were the rap guy?
Yeah, back in the day.
You see what happens? You used to be the rap guy. We moved on. Now it's Tyler.
I was the T. Frizzle Super
McLovin
Bowl
was
rap guy.
the stats guy. Now we moved on to Ethan. So
all of a sudden, somebody else is going to be the stand-up comic, and then it's all really
Which won't be
settled.
very difficult to do.
You bring in a guy with a blind in one eye, you ready to go?
yeah, if I bring in another guy to produce the show who's blind in one eye, then you should take note there, Paul. If I bring in somebody with a lot more tattoos, Seton.
Yeah, on notice.
Yeah, I know. All right. So welcome to the program. McLovin will have a play of the day, or is it a poll question? You have a poll question. Mario has the play of the day.
Now you're getting me and Mario confused? That's a low blow.
Well, they are moving up the ladder. Marvin's not just answering phones. He's on TV. Ario, he is now handling social media. They're growing up right before our very eyes on this program. It's really, really heartwarming for me to see. Major League Baseball appears to be face-to-face with its worst nightmare of the season. Marlins suffered a rash of coronavirus infections while visiting the Phillies over the weekend. Canceled the Marlins-Orioles game last night. I'm guessing tonight is going to be postponed as well. Yankees-Phillies was postponed. The fear is this is just the beginning. We've seen how the disease can spread, how quickly it can spread, and it's hard to pin down how many people have been exposed to this. You also had the White Sox-Indians that was postponed. And the safety of all the players should come first. Hopefully Major League Baseball realizes that. But this is also frustrating for the sports fan in all of us because we're getting used to baseball being back. They only started last week. We haven't even gotten through a week of baseball yet. And it's great to have teams back. But if there was a notion that this was going to be easy, the Marlins certainly ended that. Keeping sports going is serious business, big business here. Teams, players, leagues are going to have to step up and be held accountable with frequent testing, and there's nowhere to hide. And hopefully the Marlins are just a warning and not the beginning of the end of the season that we were just starting to enjoy. And I know there was a lot of hand-wringing yesterday, and the sky is falling because what happened with the Marlins. This might be the worst part of it for Major League Baseball. If this is the big hiccup here, baseball's okay. Now, they didn't handle it well because the Marlins themselves should not have been voting on whether they were going to play a game on Sunday. I don't know if the Marlins are still in Philadelphia. Last I heard, they're still in Philadelphia. They're supposed to play the Orioles tonight in Miami, and then they go to Baltimore for 2 more games. I was told by a baseball source yesterday, baseball will not force teams to forfeit games. The commissioner knows that would be an embarrassment if you had to forfeit a game. Keep in mind, these teams with no minor league baseball, they have a roster of about 60 players that are available. Now, I don't know if they're readily available here, but if you have 30 on the Major League roster and another 30 scattered around the country, you can bring those players in. It's just a question of when they get there. Also, the players who test positive, the quarantine aspect of this. It's going to be a fluid situation here. But Major League Baseball knows the amount of money that's at stake. Hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake here for the postseason. The postseason. That's the key. They want to get through the regular season. They want to make sure they have the postseason. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, sat down with Tom Verducci, and he said, let's not overreact to what happened.
I don't put this in the nightmare category. I mean, obviously, we don't want any player to get exposed. It's not a positive thing, but I don't see it as a nightmare. We built the protocols to allow us to continue to play. That's why we have the expanded rosters. That's why we have the pool of additional players. We think we can keep people safe and continue to play.
All right. He also said that they made the right decision to not have a bubble.
The decision that we made with respect to the bubble was the right one. We're different than other sports. We would have had to have multiple locations probably just in order to have enough facilities to make it work. The numbers of people involved and the numbers of people to support the number of players was much, much larger in our sport. The duration would have been much longer, and the longer you go, the more people you have, the less likely it is that you can make the bubble work.
Okay, they can still have this season. I didn't say, boy, we should just shut it down here. There are those in the media who said there's not going to be a World Series. You know, Buster Olney, who's been covering this sport for a few decades now, a month ago said probably a 5% chance of playing the World Series. 5% they'd start 0% World Series. But he was on with Golick and Wingo, and he said 40% chance of having the World Series. Now, they didn't follow up and say, why all of a sudden do you think you're going from 5% or 0% to 40%? Because we just had, this outbreak with the Marlins. They just postponed at least one game, probably 2 games with them. And you're on a finite amount of time, at least games-wise, and dates that you can fit it all in. And he says that he's 40%, more sure that we're going to have a World Series. Yeah, Paulie?
Do you think he has more confidence, and maybe other people might have more confidence now that baseball finishes? Because a month ago, if you would have told us that 3 games into the season, a team would have a major coronavirus outbreak, and they would not stop the season, they would continue playing baseball, and a couple games would be postponed. Like, the way baseball reacted to this yesterday was like, we're plowing through, we're getting to October, and we'll deal with the hiccups. That they're committed. And so there's more confidence now, not less after yesterday.
Oh, I don't know. Golick and Wingo didn't ask, Buster Olney, why are you more confident here based off what just happened? I think the question, and maybe this is that reminder for other teams, what happened with the Marlins. But, you have a coronavirus outbreak in the visitors' clubhouse in Philadelphia. The Marlins responded by asking their shortstop, Miguel Rojas. He's sort of their unofficial team captain, according to Don Mattingly, their manager. And they said, let's determine if we should play this game on Sunday. So Miguel Rojas is the one who's deciding that they're going to play a game. I would think you would have maybe somebody with Major League Baseball, maybe an official, not a player who's going to be deciding. Does Derek Jeter know about this? Was Mattingly in on this? So you just can't be careless here. And maybe this is just a good reminder of this is how it can go south in a hurry. Hopefully, baseball is able to continue to plow through. using Paulie's word, and that all they want to do is get to the postseason. It's 60 games. I'll go back to my interview with the commissioner when I was told numerous times by a source, he's locked in on 60 games. They're not changing. It's 60 games. That way the owners know exactly how much they're losing during the regular season, and that he was going from 10 to 16 playoff teams because more teams, more money for the owners. All of that played out here. I don't have any other sources on anybody telling me anything other than what happened yesterday, and that the commissioner is still confident, I guess what else would he be, that they're going to be able to pull this off. But I don't want a shortstop for the Marlins deciding what's going to happen during a pandemic. And I'll go back to what I said yesterday. If this was the Yankees, if this was the Dodgers, this would be a huge story because people reacted this way. Typical Marlins. Wouldn't you? We expected the Marlins. Florida, one of the hot spots there. But if it was a marquee team, this would be even bigger. So baseball got off a little bit, from the front lines because of that. I also saw this from Jason La Canfora. And look, I take no pleasure out of telling you these things. I've always dealt with just the reality of what the situation is. I have no agenda. I don't weaponize COVID-19. I just want to have sports because you know what? It makes my job a whole lot easier when I'm talking about the Oakland A's pitching staff against the Angels yesterday than about the Marlins. Are they in Philadelphia? Are they in Miami? Are they somewhere in between? I don't root for this. I hope we get through this. I hope we have sports. I hope we have basketball coming up on Thursday. I hope hockey gets off on a great start. I hope that the football season is able to start and be completed. Do I have doubts? Yes, but they're all based in information I get, not a personal opinion that I have. I want sports to be there. But you also have to be honest. Because the degree of difficulty for some of these sports, college football and the NFL, it's a higher degree. It's a higher degree than baseball, and you're watching what's happening in baseball. Just one outbreak. What happens if you have an outbreak in football? Can you play a full schedule this year? Jason La Canfora, their information guy from CBS, had some interesting quotes. If they have an 8-game schedule somewhere over there on Park Avenue at the NFL League office, now might be a good time to let us know. That's one team official in the AFC. I never understood the race to get people back in our buildings with the season not starting until September, said another high-ranking team official. And we're playing 16 games in this? Question mark. Really? Question mark. So La Canfora says some of the GMs I've talked to believe 10 to 12 games would be the max. This is why another GM recently caught himself talking about when the season starts and quickly changed it to if. This isn't a member of the media rooting for anything, because that story was out there yesterday. Oh, some members of the media are rooting for the coronavirus to shut things down. Who are those people? Because why would somebody who covers the NFL make their job tougher because the sport that they cover is going to be shut down? Your job is there and the stories are written for you. When the season starts, it's an easy job and it's a fun job. This is a tough job. When you're covering this, because nobody wants to hear about this. But to root for the virus, to be shutting down a league, that's silly. It's embarrassing to say that. Because we want the league to succeed. I don't think anybody is going to gleefully say, yep, told you. I'd love to be the one who's wrong. I'd love for you to say, hey, you were wrong about it. I'll gladly hold my hand up and say, guilty as charged. But I deal with a realistic approach here. No agenda. None. If anything, I want these leagues to play. I want them to succeed. We'll come up with a poll question here. This program is brought to you by LegalZoom. We're all faced with new challenges these days. If you need legal help for yours, you can count on LegalZoom. Start online. They have a network of independent attorneys. They provide advice when you need it the most. Since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. We'll talk to the great information man from MondayMorningQuarterback.com, Albert Breer. He'll join us coming up. Where do we stand? Everything good? Better than we think? Feels like some people are nervous. And what does the NFL learn from what's happened with the Miami Marlins? And we'll go through the quarterback rankings that came out on Pro Football Focus. McLovin goes, boy, they're really upset in Philadelphia. I go, when are they not upset?
Not because of that list. It's another list that has them on fire right now.
Because?
He's not. Carson Wentz isn't in the NFL top 100, and Kyler Murray and Josh Allen are.
Okay, so what?
How can Carson Wentz not be a top 100 player in the NFL? He's probably a top 15.
Wait, is this another quarterback ranking, or is this?
This is that overall ranking, the one that gets you even madder than anything else. You know the NFL 100 where the players vote?
Okay, so the NFL 100, Carson Wentz is not part of the top 100.
That is what internet sleuths have figured out. Because the whole list isn't out yet, but they figured out that Carson is not on there, and everyone's really mad.
Everyone is?
Oh, in Philly. You have to understand, the main topic, it could be like the day of the presidential election, comparing Carson Wentz to Dak Prescott will be the lead story in Philadelphia the next day. That's all they talk about all day, 24 hours a day.
Kyler Murray and Josh Allen appear to have made the NFL Network's top 100 players list over Carson Wentz.
You know, the best part of this is that it appears that he did because the entire list isn't out yet. So it's entirely possible that he is still on the list. We just think he's not going to be.
How genius would that be if they leaked that he wasn't and then he was, and we all tune in? That's something I would do.
Oh, man.
That's great.
I don't. Really, McLovin? Everything that's going on, Carson Wentz is not on some stupid list?
There are people who think Carson Wentz might be one of the 3 or 4 most talented quarterbacks in the league. I'm not saying I believe that. I do believe that, but I am not saying I believe that.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the most talented quarterback of all time.
Yeah. I mean, you love Carson. Everyone here loves Carson Wentz. They just don't think he could stay healthy.
Yeah,
that's the only reason you wouldn't put him on that list.
That's not a small thing.
He played last year.
He's really good, except for when he gets injured. I know. I have no problem. You want to put Carson Wentz in there among the elite quarterbacks. I have no problem whatsoever. But I don't let these stupid lists ruin my. Well, they have ruined my day. They have.
And I was going to say, you don't want to finish that sentence.
But I'm not rooting for anybody. I don't have any team in this where I go, where's Carson Wentz? Why isn't he in there?
What was the list that just ruined your
Michael Jordan.
At least 4 months?
Michael Jordan being the #1 college basketball player. That kept you up for 3 weeks in a row. So you're blaming Phil. That's something from 30 years ago.
But that's just me who has been around a while to have watched all of this, and whoever was voting on this, they weren't intelligent on this. They weren't well-resourced on this.
That's what the people in Philadelphia are saying.
I know, but I don't have a team in this.
But Dan, imagine Carson Wentz, McLovin's mad. Imagine if Ken Stabler was slighted. You'd be upset, right?
No.
Someone from your area that you grew up on, you loved.
But I'm not. I wasn't a Raiders fan. But McLovin is an Eagles fan.
But you appreciate Ken Stabler.
Yeah, but
Let's go Ken Anderson. Then
I still wouldn't. I still wouldn't.
So you think Kareem is underrated and it gets you mad all the time?
I'm just saying that from a basketball historian, a fan.
Well, I'm saying as a football player to have Jimmy Garoppolo ahead of Carson Wentz is absolutely nuts.
Is Jimmy Garoppolo in the top 100?
I will find out, but I believe so.
Okay, if that's the case, then whoever voted should be fired.
Now you're in.
I don't want to get anyone fired. I got to find out this list. We got to do more homework.
I want people fired now.
My lazy
Heads
research
are
here.
roll.
Let's find out what's really going on here before anyone gets fired.
Okay.
I'll ask Ethan.
Ooh. I'd love it if it was a mistake where the NFL Network said, "Oh gosh, you know what? We had Wentz in there at 9. Kyler Murray and Josh Allen ahead of Carson Wentz." I won't go that far. Is Dak Prescott's got to be in because you got to get some clicks on it, right?
I did see a headline that people in Dallas are mad because Jimmy G's ahead of Dak. Now, I can't prove all this. I can't prove all this, but I like it. By the way, we're doing another list in this hour 2, the PFF list, that'll make people mad too.
Okay, but based off of what would you rank Jimmy Garoppolo over Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott. Based off what?
Once again, can we confirm that actually exists before?
Oh, okay, you're right. Here I am saying that I well sourced and I do my homework, and then I'm all of a sudden flying off the cuff here.
But at least lists don't get you upset. Because now you're upset about this list just because you're upset about the list.
Yes.
They also make you weirdly irrational, too, which is unlike you.
I know. All right. Let me take a break.
You're rooting for this list to fail.
Yeah, probably. That's what I'm sure I'll hear that.
We got a list of lists that have most upset you for tomorrow.
You guys in the media rooting for the virus. No, I'm not. 21 after the hour. Glad to have you on board. Hope you feel the same. We'll take a break. Back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. Are you athletic?
I'm very athletic, actually. I was a hurdler in high school, and I played forward in soccer, and I wanted to play football. And
I was going to say, did you play any sports?
Yeah. And I played soccer, and I ran. I wasn't a big basketball guy. I'm okay at basketball, but all I wanted to be my whole life was Lynn Swann. That's all I wanted to be. That was my dream as a kid. I wanted to be Lynn Swann. No offense to John Stallworth, but I wanted to be Lynn Swann, so I wanted to be a wide receiver really badly.
Wait, you're a Steeler fan growing up in Michigan?
My dad's I've always been a Lions fan, but my dad's best friends were from Pittsburgh. So and when I was a little kid, it was the dynasty.
Oh, okay.
Was the dynasty years, yeah. So I've always, I hold a very special place in my heart for the Pittsburgh Steelers. My father-in-law married a Pittsburghian, so he roots for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But in my household, the Steelers are my AFC team. My wife is a Giants fan, and I'm a Detroit Lions fan who graduated from Penn State. So we have a fondness for Saquon in our household, and then she just hands me tissues when I watch the Lions play. We are in trouble.
Yeah, you are in trouble.
Dan, we're in trouble.
Yeah, you are. I
thought the one problem we don't have, the one problem we weren't going to have was offense. Oh boy.
Have you met Lynn Swann?
I've not met Lynn. I've met Franco, which was one of the great moments of my life. And he shook my hand and told me how much he enjoyed me and Jordan's show. And I was disarmed. I could have melted.
Do you think that
Franco Harris, you guys?
Do you think he knew if you were Jordan or you were Keegan? Right?
I mean, it's true. Hey,
it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. Did I ever tell you Jordan was walking down the street one day in Midtown, or no, Upper West Side, where he grew up, and we were in the midst of the show, and he was sitting at a bus stop.
Whoa.
Bus stop. Okay. He's sitting at a bus stop.
Tough times.
I know. I'm like, I thought we were doing well. Am I getting his money? What's up? And so I said, so he said he was sitting there in a sweatshirt, and a car comes by full of guys. Somebody looks out the window and they see Jordan, and they're at a stoplight, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, Key. And Jordan says, I'm kind of looking at my phone. I kind of look up, and then the car goes away. And in the midst of, so the guy says Key 3 times. There's a long pause. The man's clearly looking up something on Google. Green light, car, in the distance. Peel. Peel. He just crestfallen. He's like, oh God. I'm like, bro, you got a 50% chance. I mean,
What happens when you go to a football game? What do people say to you?
People usually just scream at the top of their lungs, AA Ron. They just scream AA Ron. Or they'll scream
Hingle?
Hingle McCringleberry, especially if I go back to school. If I go to, just have a little alumni experience and go see a Penn State game, forget about it. It's Hingle McCringleberry all over the place.
And just the fact that you got Jordan, who's not a sports fan, right?
He is now.
He is now.
I think we talked about this last time I was here. Yeah, that he was really wet behind the ears as a fan, as a football fan. And I can't believe it's one of the strangest moments of my professional life for me to explain to him how they do the introductions. And I think the big thing I explained to him was how they intro Monday Night Football. They'll go through it. And now on the defensive side of the ball for the Oakland Raiders. And you go through all the guys, and the best thing that ever happened was the day that they went through all the defensive players. They get to Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson goes, Charles Woodson, you know the school. I said, what a baller.
Yeah.
You get to do that. If you win a Heisman, you get to do that in the intros.
Yeah.
And then I come to work the next day, and Jordan's got the whole script written out.
But he saw DeBrickashaw Ferguson, right?
Yes, that's what it was. He saw DeBrickashaw Ferguson while he was playing Madden.
Yeah.
And he said, Keegan, who's this guy, DeBrickashaw Ferguson? He's like an offensive lineman for the Jets. I said, oh, sweetheart. This is the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, but what do you remember some of the names that you guys decided not to use?
No, we used every single name he wrote. And the only one in the first incarnation, the only one I added was Dan Smith, was the white guy from BYU, which officially means Jordan's blacker than me. We're both mixed, but he's the black one, and I'm the white one. Dan Smith, BYU. That was an homage to my dad. My dad grew up in Utah with the other 12 black people. And
Dan Smith. This program nominated for a Sports Emmy for the third consecutive year. Who would have thought? Brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. The all-new GT 4-door coupe, because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our celebrity interviews this week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the danpatrick.com website where you can watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. Paulie thinks it's our year. This is the year we win the Sports Emmy. Why do you think this is the year we win the Sports Emmy?
Because the Sports Emmys this year, they usually have a party in New York, and it's a pretty big deal. If you're a nominee, all the nominees in the sports media, it's kind of like a sports media convention. They go to New York, it's like on the Upper West Side, drinks and fun, and everyone gets announced, you do your speeches, and it's kind of it's a really fun event, and the people who win really get their due, I guess. And this year, the in-person ceremony is canceled, and they're doing online, like a Zoom group presentation. And that'd be nothing more us than to win the only year that they don't have an in-person presentation.
So you think because of the virus, we win?
And because we're a pretty solid show.
Solid and improving.
But I think the novelty of not being in person would be the perfect year for us to win.
Yeah, but I don't need anybody else to party. If I win, I'd rather just party with us guys right here in the Man Cave.
I got a 5-pack Old Style still in back. We could take that down.
Boy, it brings up bad memories, though. When we'd lose, and I'd walk right to the bar, and I'd just sit there with, if the Danettes would find me. I walked into a restaurant, and I want to get to Albert Breer, but I walk into a restaurant. So we lose the Sports Emmy, and of course, I'm sad, and I mope, I walk away, and there's a restaurant connected to the building. I walk in, and Pat Sajak is there. So all of a sudden, I felt like a winner because Pat was there with his wife, and we were able to just tell stories. He was very gracious. Yes.
You going to finish those fries? Pat.
Yes. But didn't Sajak say, are there any L's to you? That was kind of a cheap shot. Wow. He didn't have to do that. Come on, don't rub it in. We know we lost.
Do you want to buy a vowel? I'm suggesting an O and 2 S's. And that's a lost dog. Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter, and he is the lead content strategist. Whoa, look at that business card for the MMQB. He joins us on the program. Albert, thank you. Thanks for joining us here. What did the NFL learn or is trying to learn from what happened with the Marlins yesterday?
I think more than anything else, Dan, it's going to be what they learn coming out of this. The expectation for the league was there's going to be a lot of positive tests and there were going to be some opt-outs coming into camp, and we've already seen that. I think really the challenge begins now. And so what they're looking to learn from the other leagues is when one of these sorts of things happens, what happens after that? And so really, as much of a shock as it was to the sports world to see the positive test with the Marlins, I think what the NFL is going to be studying more so isn't how it happened. It's going to be more how they react, how they're able to contain it. in the aftermath. And I think there's going to be a lot to be learned because baseball does have two key similarities to football. Number one, they're starting a season. They're not finishing it like basketball and hockey. And number two, they're not in a bubble.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out as we move forward and be optimistic. I saw Jason Lockenfor from CBS Sports. He was quoting some front office executives saying, it's not a question of if, but when, this gets shut down, or are we going to have an 8-game schedule? Are we going to have 10, 12 games? There's no way we're going to have a full season here. These are people in the business who are having these doubts. But the NFL home office has been kind of quiet on what the protocol is going to be. Peter King had the Minnesota Vikings story about everything they're going through. What is the league's approach here of saying, let's be quiet on all of this and just kind of plow forward?
I mean, I'll give you a story from, it was about 3-4 weeks ago. This is somebody pretty high up at the league office, basically said, I'm not sure we've done enough to message this. And because they plowed forward, like you said, and kind of been business as usual, and because it worked for free agency and the draft, maybe it gave them a little bit of a false sense of security. Really, I think there was this concern within the league office that they hadn't messaged enough that there are going to be problems. And so when we do see Dante Hightower opting out, when we do see a list of 12 or 18 rookies every day coming out with positive COVID tests, it's a little bit of a shock to the system. And I know there were some people in the league office who felt like they should have done a better job messaging that and getting it out. Like, we're expecting this. This is part of the deal and playing in 2020. And so I think that's a big part of it. As for the team, at the team level, I think one of the things that they're looking for from the league office right now is some more clarity in what happens post-outbreak. And one of the key questions I got, and I think this is a really interesting one, Dan, from some teams yesterday, they still haven't set a number as far as what constitutes an outbreak and what it would take to shut a team down for a week, what it would take to cause a forfeiture. That's something I think a lot of teams are still looking for the answer to. Is it 15? Is it 20? Like, how many cases inside a building will it take for the league to make a phone call and say, you guys got to shut it down? These are some of the things that the league still hasn't really clarified to its teams when it comes to how things are going to play out over the next few weeks. And of course, more importantly, once we get into the season.
I was wondering about this. We're talking Albert Breer of the mmqb.com. And we were talking about this prior to the start of the show. Baseball has done this regionalized scheduling. Do you think that the NFL has given thought to, let's say, the Patriots, the Jets, the Giants, and who else you want to throw in there on the East Coast?
Eagles,
Buffalo,
Ravens, yeah.
Buffalo Bills are in there. Florida, you have the Florida teams. So they're able to play each other twice. So that's 8 games you have of the season, But I know it throws the schedule off, and we love marquee matchups, but I don't know if that's have you thought about it, last ditch, that we keep down our travel down, and the home and away is not very far, either home or away.
Well, they had discussed, Dan, and this is in the spring, in April and May, the idea of bubble concept. And I don't think it would work in the NFL to have one big bubble. It's just too many people. And so one of the things that I know had sort of been tossed around was almost like a pod format, like Olympic style group play.
Yeah.
And that was something that was shot down pretty quickly and never advanced very far for 2 reasons. Number one, Dr. Alan Sills, the league's chief medical officer, didn't think it was a good idea. And number two, the players were wholeheartedly against it. And so that never really got off the ground. I think logistically with football, and this, like the amount of players that are shuttled on and off rosters because of the injury rate in the NFL would make containing a bubble really, really, really logistically difficult. And so you go back to April and May, and this was something that was discussed, but it never really got off the ground because there were some key figures that were really, really against the idea.
I know we love to give grades. Somebody has to win. Somebody has to lose. If it's a draft pick, you had the trade with Jamal Adams, the Jets sending him for a couple of first-round draft picks. What's your sense with people you've spoken to on I like what Seattle did. It's, the NFL is about now, winning now, and you have this opportunity with Russell Wilson. The Jets aren't winning now, but if you're giving out grades or who won, who lost, where do you stand with this?
I mean, I hate to it sounds like a cop out saying win-win, but they're two teams in two very different situations. I mean, I think Joe Douglas, when he was hired about a year ago, came to the realization they were a few drafts away from really contending. And it was a pretty massive rebuild he was going to go through. And if this player's made it clear to you, if Jamal Adams has made it clear to you, he's not signing a long-term deal, you have to ask yourself the question, when I get good, is he even going to be here anymore? And so I think that was part of the equation for the Jets. They weren't going to give him away, but, you do want to get the proper return for him. And I think they were comfortable going forward with him. Really, this has been discussed between the Seahawks and the Jets for about a month and a half. And the parameters were in place, I'd say about a week ago. And really, for the Seahawks to be comfortable with it, they wanted to see the rules. So for the Jets, this was about restocking the cupboard and building going forward. For the Seahawks, look, the last piece to rebuilding a secondary that once had Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Richard Sherman. They got a lot of young players they like there. He's an alpha. He's a fit for Pete Carroll's program. And really right now they feel like they're close enough. And they view these draft picks as chips. And they didn't think they'd have a chance to get a player like a Jamal Adams in the draft because of where they're drafting every year. And so is it a calculated risk? Sure it is. But John Schneider's never had a problem taking those. Some of them have worked out. Dwayne Brown's an example of that. Some of them haven't. Percy Harvin's another example of that. But certainly I think this is an example of two teams in very, very different positions.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said it's a win-win. I don't like giving out this grade because the Jets' grade is fluid. That'll be let's see what they do in the draft. Now, you have a new GM there, so maybe he doesn't screw it up like the other GMs did with all their draft picks, and nobody's there except for Sam Darnold. And with the Jets, and you get a guy who didn't want to be with the Jets, the Seahawks get Adams, so he's your back end, he's your Russell Wilson with the defense there with Bobby Wagner. So I get it. I got the feeling that they made this move and basically said to Jamal Adams, you're going to be responsible for Raheem Mostert and George Kittle. Like, we're bringing you in to make sure you do damage to the San Francisco 49ers, because if we get past them, then we think we'll be the team to beat or one of the teams to beat going to the Super Bowl.
And they felt like he was a smaller version of Cam Chancellor in a lot of different ways. Like, he's more versatile than Chancellor. He's the sort of presence physically that Chancellor was. And like you said, I think if you look at the Seahawks' problems the last few years, they have related to having trouble covering tight ends. So it's George Kittle, it's Tyler Higbee with the Rams. Like, this has been a problem for them. And so it shores up a lot of issues for them in an on-field standpoint, but the off-field stuff I think is important too. Like I said, I think such a big part of who they were when they were really great in the secondary was having those alphas in the secondary. And this really gives them a guy that kind of brings together that young group and may give that young group an edge. They really like Shaquille Griffin. They really like Trey Flowers. They really like Marquise Blair, the kid they drafted out of Utah a year ago. They've got Quandre Diggs from the Lions, and they really feel like bringing in a guy like Adams is going to bring them that sort of edge and attitude that they had when they were winning at a very high level.
Albert, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, and we'll continue to read great stuff with the MMQB.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter there for the MMQB. Yeah, I started to think about that Seattle move, and maybe it doesn't address all the problems that they have, but you got a guy who's an impact guy. I was also wondering about this with Adams, if this is an offense that still needs some weapons, and that's why Russell Wilson is openly pleading with the team, once we know what's happening with Antonio Brown and his suspension, that the Seahawks go get Antonio Brown. Look at the number of games that Seattle won last possession or less than a touchdown. Like, their margin of error, that was a good offense, but it's really because of Russell Wilson. They went through a lot of running backs there. The only constant is Russell Wilson. And what he's saying is something that we've heard on the East Coast for a long time from Tom Brady. You got to get me some weapons here, because after a while, there's only so much magic, magic dust I can sprinkle here. That's the bigger concern, I think, Seattle moving forward. Rams still have a good offense. The Niners have a good offense. Seattle's offense is sort of trial by error. And it usually comes down to the fourth quarter. You say to Russell Wilson, can you win the game for us? And I think that's really difficult. It's really difficult to pin that on him week in and week out. But that would have been my only knock on this. Could they have used let's say you could have gotten DeAndre Hopkins. If you consider what Arizona gave up for DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, this is what I didn't understand with Seattle. Those are guys who are impact players too. I can look at Jamal Adams. I don't have to have him. I like having him, but boy, would I love having DeAndre Hopkins or Stephon Diggs. And they got DeAndre Hopkins for nothing. Now, you got to pay him, but you're going to have to pay Adams as well. And that would have been a smarter move, in my opinion, for that Seattle team. We'll take a break. We'll get to phone calls. We'll talk about this NFL list that's guaranteed to upset me this morning. And I wasn't planning on that, McLovin. I was just going to go, all right, it's a stupid list. Here we go again.
I love it's totally incomplete, too. That'll make you even more mad. They're up to 40.
All right, play of the day's up next. Your phone calls as well here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan, as you are aware, I was a pretty bad athlete growing up, but I technically was on a couple grade school teams. I think they have to let you on. Once you pay the fee and you're cleared to play, I think they didn't have cuts. They must not have had cuts. Obviously, they didn't have cuts. I played for Glenwood. I was a member of the team for Glenwood Cougars football. Nice coaches, nice kids. Now, we're going to play a game today. Can you spot Paulie Pabst on the roster? McLovin, I think you've seen one of these pictures, so you may have to bow out. Okay. Dan, I'm going to let you go first, and then any of the other Danettes. Now, in this picture, which one is me? You should be able to see the numbers. Which one on that team is me? Look around the roster. A lot of good athletes on that team. Number 44, lightning fast. Good player. Which one is me, Dan?
That's not you.
44, Andre Gatewood. Good player. Not me. Dan, I'm going to have to ask you to pass the... you have to make a guess.
That's tricky.
I'm not going to tell you right or wrong. Dan, I'm going to have to pass it to Seton O'Connor.
I'm going to say that you are that kid.
Number
83?
83?
Oh. Fritzy, what do you
say?
think?
I had the same one. I had 83. I was looking at 40, but I don't know if your hair was that bushy in the bottom row on the left there. So, 83 looks like the
Dan?
Good guess.
I was just going to go for 51 because of the cheesy look on his face, even though that's not you.
You know, in Chicago, I would not be allowed to wear 51.
No, really
you got to be good.
He was a great tackler, Scotty Barber.
Of course he was.
Did they tell the kids, hey, when you sit at the bottom, make a fist?
Yeah, clenched fist. 51 looks like he's right.
I don't know.
We're going to hurt them.
Hey, everybody, what do you
Phil Simms right there.
Which number?
Phil Simms. He's just a 0. You can't
10?
see it.
10?
Yeah. That looks like Phil Simms.
He was actually a good quarterback. 83 is correct. 83 is Paulie Pabst. The bowl haircut right after practice.
Like it.
Now I'm going to play round 2, Dan.
Oh, God.
Round 2. This is a year later, not the full team picture. I think this is 7th grade. Which one is Paulie Pabst? Might be a little easier.
I was going to go 56.
56. Wow.
Look at the hair on 56. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's Danny Bonaducci from the Patriots.
It was Danny Bonaducci.
23 is ready to get out there.
Look, again, fist. All right, kids, you get down there and make a fist.
Yeah. Is this a trick question? Or is definitely,
I was going to say you're not on there.
This is easy, right?
You're not on the team this year.
I'm number 48.
Okay, that was where I was going, and you look a little bigger there.
You do.
I probably was tiptoeing because number 63, Danny Lynch, was definitely taller than me. But I think I was tiptoeing because I know I wasn't taller than him.
I was going to guess the guy in the middle with the 4. It was at number 40, I guess, based on his shoulder pin.
I didn't feather my hair that much. I had matted hair from practice. There it is, Glenwood Cougar football.
Wow. I have a guy who works with me. His name is McLovin, and he's a baseball guy. He's an analytics guy, and he says that basically the baseball manager is the most overrated position in all of sports, and anybody could be a baseball manager in the major leagues. McLovin, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I did not say that. I just said the trend
you said that yesterday. Now that I got Joe Torre, then you don't want to step up to the plate?
I feel like I'm at home now. You guys are still arguing over there. I love it.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else?
You know, there's that Moneyball trend that the manager has been de-emphasized for the analytics front office guys. That's happening, it seems.
Do you want to respond?
It is happening, and I'm not a fan of it. I mean, information is important, but once we minimize the effect of a manager and being able to look into a guy's eyes and using the instincts that he gained in his years of baseball, I think is a big mistake. I think we can't make this a video game. And as I say, that's anti-human again. When we do the numbers, we had a 3-0 lead against the Red Sox, and I guess we could have called in the dogs at that point because it wasn't supposed to happen. It never happened before, but it did happen, and it's just something about human beings playing the game that make you scratch your head sometimes, and other times just surprise the heck out of you in a good way. So I think we've gone a little bit too far right now. And the governor is right because I think they've relied too much on numbers, especially with the whole pitching stuff of what's going on now. But we'll have to wait and see. I think the game of baseball has been too good for too long to not survive this.
Wait, you just said McLovin was right. Oh, my gosh, he's going to be insufferable, Joe.
I told you he was brilliant, Dan.
That's the only way I'm going to get on this show again. I have to make sure I have friends in high places, that's all.
Yeah, you got McLovin on your side.
Oh, my God.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're going to play it and play it.
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Pitch. Alonso hammers one toward the left field corner, headed for the monster, and it's gone. A home run for Pete Alonso. It was a straight line drive, and it just barely got above the green monster in left field as Pete Alonso finally gets that first home run of 2020. It's the 54th of his young career.
Last year, he broke the rookie record for home runs with 53 in his season. Mets win, beating Boston 7-4. Red Sox have dropped 3 of their first 4. That's courtesy of 710 WOR in New York. Play of the day? Play of the day brought to you by LegalZoom. We're all faced with new challenges these days. If you need legal help for yours, count on LegalZoom. You can start online. They have a network of independent attorneys who can provide advice when you need it. And since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. We'll check in with the Florida Marlins at the top of the hour. Jordan McPherson, he covers the team for the Miami Herald. We talked to him yesterday, 24 hours ago, and he was still in Philadelphia. Didn't know when he was going to be able to fly out. The team's still there. I don't know if they're going to stay there one more day, and then do they go to Baltimore to play? They were going to play 2 games against Baltimore Monday and Tuesday, and then they were going to play 2 games in Baltimore later on this week. So he'll join us coming up top of the hour. McLovin mentioned the NFL Network's top 100 list, and they haven't even revealed the entire list. And McLovin says that people in Philadelphia are upset that Carson Wentz is not in the top 100. We don't know that. This is the headline I have. Kyler Murray, Josh Allen appear to have made the NFL Network's top 100 players list over Carson Wentz. In a move that can only be described as head-scratching, to say the least, the Philadelphia Eagles star quarterback Carson Wentz will not be a member of the NFL Network's top 100 players list. Okay. Has anybody seen the top 100 list, McLovin?
So a reporter for NBC Sports Philadelphia was told by the NFL that 5 Eagles made the list, and they've already had 5 Eagles going up to 70, and none of them are Carson Wentz. So NBC Philadelphia is reporting that that Carson Wentz is a snub, and Lane Johnson is a snub too, who is clearly he's like an all-pro right tackle, so he's a snub. But I don't get it at all.
Okay.
I have the other quarterbacks if you want them.
I mean, Carson Wentz had a pretty respectable year last year for a team that was banged up and him coming back from injury.
He's 9th on MVP odds. Yeah, tied for 8th, actually.
Yeah, he threw for 4,000 yards. He had 25 touchdowns or whatever, 8 interceptions. So he's better than Josh Allen. and he's better than Kyler Murray. At least right now he is. Yeah, Paul.
Carson Wentz also hasn't missed a ton of time. He missed 3 games one season, 5 games another season, otherwise 16 starts and 16 starts. He's also got 97 touchdowns and 35 picks in 4 years. His stats are really good. But that second year when he blew up, he just cooled off. And once you cool off in the NFL, people don't jump back on.
Okay, if I said you could have one of these quarterbacks the next 5 years, same price, Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo. I got Garoppolo at 28. He's the oldest out of this group. Wentz, 27. Prescott, 26. Jared Goff is 26. Well, it comes down to Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz, and I would take Carson Wentz is the best quarterback out of this group. Dak Prescott doesn't get hurt. Jared Goff had a drop-off, and Garoppolo, I don't even think their coach has confidence in him. And their GM, John Lynch, because they went out and at least explored bringing in Tom Brady. I mean, that's all you need to know. Because they're probably looking at this the way I would is, we need one thing to get us over the top, and that's a clutch quarterback here. A quarterback we can count on. Tom Brady gives us a window of 2 years to win the Super Bowl with this group. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't give us anywhere near that chance, apparently, because that's why they went out and they've admitted they at least explored the option of bringing in Tom Brady. Yeah, McLovin.
Here are some other quarterbacks that people are paying attention to. Kyler Murray, 90. Josh Allen, 87. Ryan Tannehill, 68. Kirk Cousins, 58. Dak Prescott, 46. And Jimmy G at 43 is what we know so far.
I don't understand the Jimmy G. I don't. Kirk D. Cousins over Carson Wentz? Dak Prescott over Carson? Well, the fact that Carson Wentz is not in the top 100, that's just wrong. Yeah, McLovin.
Maybe NBC Philadelphia got the report wrong? Is that?
I would love it if they did, just with this overreaction in Philadelphia. I'm really surprised that Carson Wentz is not in there, but all right, go out with the chip on your shoulder. So what? It's like when these guys get upset with their Madden rating. Like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? I'm so upset. Okay, now what? You're not going to play? You're going to sit out the season? What are you going to do? I'm not playing anymore. All right. Good luck with that. Yeah, Paulie.
It's interesting, though, how the quarterbacks go up and down. I got a list from December of 2018, less than 2 years ago. Jared Goff is the 8th-ranked quarterback in the entire league, just behind Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. He's above Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Cousins, Roethlisberger, Stafford. He was hot a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And then the Super Bowl happened, and it was a quick cooling.
Well, he got hurt, and the fact that they won a Super Bowl without him, I think people then looked at maybe him and that team differently. But Carson Wentz he's an upper echelon quarterback. I mean, there's 2 quarterbacks right now who have separated themselves from everybody else. All right? There's 2. Russell Wilson Jr. III and Patrick Mahomes. Those are the 2 quarterbacks. And then after that, we can go, is Aaron Rodgers in there? Whoever you want to throw in there. But to me, there's 2 quarterbacks that are different. Deshaun Watson is not that first tier. Is he second tier? Okay. Yeah, Paul.
If you start doing quarterback tiers, we got about a month of fun ahead of us. People love to do that tier ranking.
I hate lists. Yes, McLovin.
How do you put Lamar Jackson in? Isn't he?
He's a second tier.
Okay.
Yes. No, I would put Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes 1, 2. And then I put Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers. You want to put them in there? We're going to check in on my Miami Marlins. How long are they going to stay in Philadelphia? When's their next game? Anybody else test positive? Second hour coming up, Dan Patrick Show. I was surprised. I shouldn't say surprised, but interested that you were talking to Michael Phelps. Like, how could he help you? I don't know if that was mentally, competitively, but what did you derive from the conversations with Michael Phelps?
Yeah, so there's another guy who's just, it's an early success story, and it's how, he's the greatest Olympian of all time. He's probably the best example of a guy to chase a ghost. And just how do you keep on resetting those goals? And it was so simple the way he was describing it. It was just, I had my own records that I could then go out and break. And you try and relate that to golf in a way. I had these years or these statistics that I wanted, say from 50 to 150 yards, I was this good in proximity one year. And there's a way that you can actually, and that was first on tour maybe last year. So how can I even improve on that? So it's a little harder to relate to golf, but just this, handling spotlight and celebrity and, he's, it's a different animal with him than it is for me, but just, being able to relate a little bit to that and any advice I could get from him.
No, it's pretty cool that you're seeking this out just to,
Well, it's just like, I've got these opportunities with these really incredible people that, for whatever reason, golf becomes this sport that these other athletes turn to after, their careers are done, and they love to try and master it. And so they love playing golf with us. And so, in return, we can then, learn so much from them. It's just like, it's funny because golf is just such a difficult sport, and you can't master it, and it bothers these guys who have mastered these other sports.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that brings them closer to us.
Dan, watched a little baseball yesterday. The Padres uniforms are even better than I thought they were going to be in the bright sunlight.
Fun.
I mean,
okay.
You may want to put on some type of
look through my fingers.
Yeah. You know the thing when they have an eclipse and you can't look directly
We'll
at
squint. We'll squint. We won't look directly.
All right. Let me know.
Look at the
nice.
The wristbands, the yellow and brown.
Look at the socks.
The piping. The socks are nuts. I'm going to wear those socially if I can get my hand on a pair. Yeah, little faded San Diego.
That's pretty awesome.
Striped. The shoes. Great job here with these guys with the shoes. Now, check out Tatis, my man Tatis in the box. He wearing ski goggles, which really plays to
Looks like they're ready to do luge or
my
something.
community. Yeah. Wow. He's locked in. I mean, look at his.
I'm going to put him on. I'm not going to walk him. Although this concerns me. 22 and 53 RBI.
Not a lot of people on base.
No. But this could be the year of the Padre.
Yeah. Oh, but going back.
Yeah.
Very golden
Those are tasty.
I like it a lot.
That's pretty nice.
Spicy brown.
I'm not big on the socks, all the way.
I'm okay with that.
No,
I love it.
You don't like high socks?
Not that high.
It's a Little League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
You look like an NFL.
All you're missing is
I'm
stirrups. If
cool
you
with
had
that.
brown socks with yellow stirrups,
That would be pretty sweet.
it'd be over. I threw that out.
Was that your mic?
Yeah.
Did you drop?
But I didn't want to break
You
it.
dropped the pad.
Yeah, the iPad.
I've never seen that
doesn't sound
before.
the same.
Well, this is actually
Yeah,
probably AT&T property.
But that's Mario.
That's going to start a trend.
Area.
We're not getting this.
I like that.
No.
You didn't oversell the Padre uniform.
I'm going to buy some gear, I think.
Yeah, a nice brown shirt.
Oh, I need more.
If anybody needed another brown shirt,
Who needs more?
Not many.
it's you.
Not many people gravitate towards getting. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
The Lou Williams situation here goes to Atlanta, goes to a strip club to order takeout. But Mark Stein, what is the violation?
Any public place is, to me, an egregious violation. I mean, the bubble has started. You're on an excused absence to attend a family funeral. Does it really need to be explained that the only place you should go is that family funeral? It was irresponsible. It was selfish. Thank God it was photographed. He could have gotten back here and no one would have known where he was. And that would have been 10 times worse.
Order up!
Yeah, Paul.
If you order your wings dry rubbed at a strip club, there's a whole different connotation.
Okay.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Tuesday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Baseball postponed the Orioles-Marlins game yesterday. White Sox, Indians, Yankees, Phillies. NBA begins in 2 days as we continue to hold our breaths here when it comes to professional sports. And then you got college sports, college football coming back as well. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. Say good morning to our TV partners, youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, the Fox Sports Radio lineup. And we're available in 362 cities around America. We'll check in with the Marlins coming up here in a moment. There's a few more NFL lists that are coming out, and we dissected some of those in the first hour of the program. McLovin says that the entire city of Philadelphia is upset. Carson Wentz might not be listed among the top 100 players in the NFL.
Dan, you know Philadelphia. Does that surprise you in any way?
They would be upset about something if it wasn't Carson Wentz and where he was ranked in the top 100 list, or the fact that he's not. Poll question, McLovin, what do you have?
So we haven't decided on one yet. I have a question regarding the Marlins. Who's most to blame for the Marlins playing on Sunday? Is it the players themselves, the team, manager/ownership, or is it Major League Baseball itself?
Wait, run that by me again.
Who do you blame for the Marlins situation on Sunday? They decide to play. Do you blame the players for playing, the management for playing, or do you blame Major League Baseball for not having a protocol to stop that?
I'd like to know who knew in management with the Marlins. If Don Mattingly, I assume, knew pregame, did Derek Jeter know? Who else in the organization knew and allowed them to go out and play on Sunday? Jordan McPherson, who covers the Marlins for the Miami Herald, kind enough to join us yesterday at this time, and here he is again joining us today. You were in Philadelphia yesterday at this time. Where are you now, Jordan?
I'm back home in Broward County, Sunrise to be specific. Yeah, I got back home late yesterday.
Okay. Where do we stand with Marlins baseball?
As of right now, obviously their game yesterday against the Baltimore Orioles was postponed. Their game today is also postponed, which makes sense considering they're still in Philadelphia and Baltimore flew back from Miami to Baltimore late last night. The tentative plan is if their testing results are at an acceptable level by MLB, they'll be able to bus over to Baltimore on Wednesday to play their 2-series game there Wednesday and Thursday. Obviously, only the players who tested negative would be going over. Anybody who tests positive is still going to be quarantined in Philadelphia.
Are they able to bring up players? They have another 30 players that are available to them from the minor leagues. Are those players going to be brought up to take the place of those who have tested positive?
That would be correct. They have 30 players at their alternate training site down in Jupiter, Florida, and they're also looking at some veteran free agents or some other players who were on the open market to sign. They added two relief pitchers, Josh D. Smith, not to be confused with the Josh A. Smith, who was already in their player pool, and Justin Schaefer. They claimed both of them from the Reds yesterday afternoon.
What have we learned in the last 24 hours about what happened over the weekend with the Marlins?
There's still a lot of uncertainty. There's been no specifics about their test results from their latest round, which they did about 10 at some point between 10 and 10:30 on Monday. Those tests take anywhere from 12 to 24 hours to come back. Obviously, we're still at the tail end of that window of finding out if there are any other additional positives on top of the 13 that they found out since they got to Philadelphia. In terms of where it originated, there's still a lot of unknowns. Rob Manfred said on MLB Network yesterday that the league has theories, but nothing definitive. But it's really, there are a few spots. Obviously, Atlanta from their exhibition game seems to be a focal point that a lot of people are going to, especially considering both of the Braves' main catchers had symptoms, even though they didn't test positive for COVID-19, and the Marlins played 2 exhibition games there. So whether it was the Braves passing to the Marlins passing to the Braves, we still don't know where the exact origin was. But it looks like, even though the Atlanta, those 2 games, there seems to be some sort of a breaking out point.
Before I let you go, I'm curious who knew about this decision to play that game on Sunday, even though they knew players had tested positive. Did Don Mattingly know? Why are they leaving it up to a player to make the decision to go out and play a baseball game, Jordan?
Well, to add on to that a little bit, Rob Manfred said on his interview yesterday that the league was aware of the positive test. They did contact tracing to see if there were anybody on the team who could be potentially exposed, which his clarification and according to what he said, the CDC guidelines were, just being a teammate and just being in the clubhouse doesn't necessarily mean you're potentially exposed. How much we can actually agree on that is up for debate. But they said that they found about a handful of players who might have been potentially exposed. They held all of those players in the hotel. And then the decision was made that it was safe to play the game if everybody else on the Marlins were okay with it. And obviously the players and Don Mattingly were okay with it enough for them to play.
Well, good luck, Jordan. I'm not sure where your travels are going to take you, but hopefully you're headed to Baltimore, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my plan is to leave for Baltimore first thing tomorrow morning.
Jordan McPherson, he covers the Marlins for the Miami Herald. Yeah, we talked to him yesterday. He was in Philadelphia with the team. The team's still there, and looks like they'll bus to Baltimore. Just another day. The commissioner was on MLB Network last night, and he was being interviewed by Tom Verducci, and he said that this is not a nightmare.
I don't put this in the nightmare category. I mean, obviously, we don't want any player to get exposed. It's not a positive thing, but I don't see it as a nightmare. We built the protocols to allow us to continue to play. That's why we have the expanded rosters. That's why we have the pool of additional players. We think we can keep people safe and continue to play.
Yeah, they might, this might be the hiccup. This might be the worst case scenario for Major League Baseball. Maybe. Because maybe they realize that there has to be stronger testing or they have to be more conservative in their approach here. But I don't view it as let's shut down the season yet. I want to see what happens as they move forward. Can you continue to play? Are you going to be able to play 60 games? Is everybody going to play the same number of games this year? Or are we going to be doing whatever your winning percentage is, whether you played 60, 54, 50 games? That seems unfair. Just got word that the Yankees-Phillies game tonight has been postponed. Yeah, had some postponements yesterday, along with the Orioles and the Marlins and the Yankees-Phillies, also the White Sox and the Indians. We're going to be able to keep an eye on. Now, the White Sox-Indians was due to weather, but we'll keep an eye on all of this. And let's see, what else do we have? Ken Rosenthal had this. Marlins have added 4 additional players. 4 more players tested positive. So this is a minute ago, Kenny Rosenthal, he writes for The Athletic. The Marlins had 4 additional players test positive. That brings the total to, 18 members of the Marlins total have tested positive here? All right. Well, let's see if how it affects some of these other teams. But this also affects the Orioles because the Orioles then, when do they make up these games with the Marlins? Can you do that? Can you have a doubleheader? This is the only 4 games that they had, with each other this season. 2 in Miami, 2 in Baltimore. Now you're going to at least hopefully have 2 in Baltimore. And are you going to have doubleheaders? And it doesn't seem like that. Trying to make up these games, that's what I find interesting. And I did talk to a source yesterday, and he said that the commissioner will not have teams forfeit games. He will not. You're going to be playing, but you might not be playing all your games, but nobody will win via a forfeit, from the source that I talked to yesterday. Because it's an embarrassment for Major League Baseball if somebody is going to forfeit. That's why you have a pool of players that you're going to be able to bring in, and you're going to have interchangeable parts here. You're going to need a program probably to follow some of these teams because you're not going to know who they are. Let me see. Anything else that needs to be mentioned? We just got confirmation here. Oh, this is going to, yep. This is the big one. Carson Wentz is not among the top 100 players in the NFL on the NFL Network's list. Our source is the NFL Network. Wow. Wow. I don't know if you're going to be able to get through your day knowing that. Carson Wentz, not one of the top 100 players. Unbelievable. Yes, McLevin.
So you're saying that he's 8th in the league in MVP odds.
Yeah.
But he's not one of the top 100 players.
Who voted on the list?
Players vote for this.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
Yeah. So I'm not going to blame the NFL Network. I'll blame the players. Is he disliked, McLevin?
Well, those are the reports in Philadelphia over the years.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that shouldn't factor in on how good you are, because Aaron Rodgers might not be liked in his own locker room, but he's still going to be up there among the top quarterbacks. Yeah, Paul.
Coincidentally, NFL Network is releasing the top 10 most disliked players in the NFL list tomorrow. No word on who's on it.
But Carson Wentz is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's better than Dak Prescott. He's better than Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. These are other quarterbacks that are ranked in there. Yeah, McLevin.
Ryan Tannehill's a funny one, too. At 68, he was a backup last year at this time.
I don't get that one. Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback because he has a great running back.
Well, you put Russell Wilson in tier 2. He has the best running game in the league.
No, I put Russell Wilson in tier 1.
Tier 1, yeah. Running, yeah. I wanted to bring that debate back up again. Let you focus on that.
Wait, what's the debate?
Well, the Seahawks are famous. They don't pass the ball. They run the ball. They just run it down your throat. So how can Russell Wilson be the second best quarterback in the NFL? Or tied for first?
I think that he does more with less than any quarterback in the NFL. I don't even think it's close with what he does. And he wins these games. His fourth quarter rating, the final 2 minutes of a game or last drive, I mean, I want the ball in Russell Wilson's hands over any quarterback in the NFL right now. And that includes Patrick Mahomes. And even Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's a wonderful talent. But he might be a wonderful regular season talent. Patrick Mahomes did not have a good Super Bowl. But he's a great quarterback. Great quarterback. So I know that we pick and choose when it comes to the postseason. But I want the ball in Russell Wilson's hands. And you can throw Brady in there as well. But I still, with the game on the line, I want somebody who has done it on numerous occasions. If I'm shifting this and I put Patrick Mahomes with Seattle and Russell Wilson with Kansas City, how much different do they look, if at all? What's Mahomes do in Seattle? Like, I could put any quarterback in that Seattle situation. And you're right. You got a coach, and Pete Carroll likes to run the football and play defense. And then when that doesn't work, when it's 12-9 going into the fourth quarter, then he says to Russell Wilson, can you help me win a game? This is year in and year out that they do this. Yeah, McLevin.
If you judge these guys by ability to lead your team to a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, isn't the group bigger than just two guys? Because a lot of guys can win. I mean, Russell is no better at getting a team to a Super Bowl victory than Aaron Rodgers or anyone else. I mean, he's won one, and he didn't even do anything in that game because the defense just rode over the Broncos. I feel like there's a lot of guys who are right at that level, who are just so good that they can get you.
It feels like that team is competitive because of him. The last couple of years, it's because of Russell Wilson.
But you never make them your Super Bowl pick anymore.
No. Only the year when they blew out the Broncos, when I said it'd be Denver and Seattle in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But it's a harder road. Look at San Francisco. Look at the Rams. The Rams have offensive weapons. The Niners have offensive weapons. Arizona has more offensive weapons than Seattle does. So I don't understand. That's why if you're going to make a trade for Jamal Adams, did you kick the tires on DeAndre Hopkins or Stephon Diggs? Like, to me, that's a difference maker. Jamal Adams, wonderful player. I liked their secondary. I didn't need Jamal Adams. I'd be glad to have him, but it feels like I need a little bit more help than Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. And I need running backs who are going to be consistent. But I don't know. I mean, this is what happens with these lists. It's just preferential taste here with who you like, who you watch a lot. I just think that Russell Wilson became an overnight sensation after about 8 or 9 years in the league. It's like people go, man, he seems like he's pretty good. Yeah, because it was all based on their defense. And then, he throws the interception, which the play calling was horrible there, but Russ threw the interception. If he has 2 Super Bowls here, history will treat him a lot better than a lot of these other quarterbacks having 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, McLevin.
I know I'm jumping way ahead, but will you look at the Seahawks as a Super Bowl pick this year? Their odds are pretty good. They're up there. Not high up there, but they're in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah, but let me see how this, do we get to the regular season? Does it start on time? Are there any injuries here? I think you're going to have injuries in the NFL. There are going to be a lot of them because of, no preseason, these OTAs, like just trying to go in there and start playing. Like baseball, that's when you had some of these pitchers who just went in and you start throwing. And that's why you've had a lot of these guys who are, have injuries, get tweaked backs. Verlander, Corey Kluber. I think you're going to have that in the NFL. So it might be a season of attrition of who's able to stay healthy long enough, because I do think you're going to have a lot more injuries than normal. Yeah, Paulie.
Going back to our quarterback list, if you had to bet on a team to make the Super Bowl this year, Seahawks, Rams, or Cowboys, first one you'd pick. You got to bet a week's pay to make the Super Bowl.
So you're not throwing the Niners in there?
No.
Okay.
Because they're too good, too talented.
All right.
But if you had to bet Seahawks, Rams, or Cowboys to make the Super Bowl, you only pick one. It's a season bet.
I'm going to be right one of these years on the Cowboys. I am.
You're like the guy who picks the lotto numbers every week?
Yeah.
One?
But I haven't officially picked the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl.
Maybe that's what's holding them back. Lack of support.
I just think there's way too much talent there. But I would probably go Seattle in that situation, but because of Russell Wilson Jr. III over these other quarterbacks there. Like, I want to see if you can do it when you need to do it. And some of these guys, we haven't seen them in that situation yet. We've seen Russell in that situation. Now, what's the Pro Football Focus list that we're going to talk about coming up next year, Todd?
There's 4 tiers of quarterbacks, and I'm not going to reveal. We'll let Steve Palazzolo, who's going to join us in a few minutes, tell us. But basically, he's ranked quarterbacks tier 1, obviously being the best, all the way down to the bottom tier 4 of all the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Now, how do you pronounce his name?
Steve Palazzolo.
Palazzolo. Not Palazzo. Not Palazzolo.
No.
Not Palazzolo.
Steve Palazzolo.
And not Sam Palazzo, I think was affiliated with the Mets organization.
Steve Palazzo.
Steve Palazzolo.
Palazzolo. Is it Palazzolo?
It should be Palazzolo. I know sometimes I say Paul, sometimes I say Pal.
You said Pal.
I'm going to go with Steve Palazzolo.
Palazzolo. So is it like Sal Palantonio?
Yeah, there you go. That should help.
I think you just changed the pronunciation, though.
Steve Palazzolo. But I think like 30 seconds ago I said Palazzolo.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
And he came up with this list of quarterbacks.
Correct.
And they're different levels.
Yes.
Pro Football Focus.
Pro Football Focus.
Okay, and he's going to join us next.
He's going to join us next segment to talk about these 4 tiers and why he put them where he did.
And his name is?
Steve Palazzolo.
Palazzolo. Okay.
He's like a big shot senior analyst at Pro Football Focus who knows everything about quarterback.
Former baseball player.
Is he?
I believe he's a former baseball player.
Good research by you.
Yeah. Is that right, McLevin?
6'9" through the heat in the years for the minor leagues.
Okay.
Was his nickname the Big Paul or the Big Pal?
They called him the pallbearer because if you faced him,
okay.
you're going to be carried off to your grave.
I like that. That's a good poll by you, McLevin. The pall bearer, as Todd would say.
That was a good pal bearer.
Pal bearer. All right, we'll take a break. Yet another list to decipher here. 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show.
All right, so our second hour guest today is this gentleman of Pro Football Focus. He's a senior analyst. How do you think his last name is pronounced before I share phonetics of that?
Steve.
Steve is
I'm going to go
definitely right.
Palazzolo.
Palazzolo.
So it's spelled Palazzolo.
Palazzolo.
But it could be
Palazzolo.
Palazzolo.
Could be Palazzolo.
You could
Or
put the accent on the
Palazzolo.
wrong syllable.
Palazzolo.
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 What do you think?
I thought it was Palazzolo. I did think it was that.
But would there be one Z if it was Palazzolo, by the way? But whatever.
I asked Paul this morning, I said, do we have a pronunciation?
Maybe it's Palazzolo.
And Paul goes, I think it's Steve. I think it's pronounced Steve.
This is the
He said,
pronunciation I
"Thanks."
got from Pro Football Focus. So if you had Palazzolo, you're
Palazzolo or Palazzolo?
That's a great question.
Because that's not
Palazzolo.
written phonetically.
It's not Paul.
Because that would be Palazzolo.
Palazzolo.
Yeah, Palazzolo. See, we still don't know, even with the phonetics. Palazzolo. That's what I would go with. Seems safe.
Palazzolo. Not Palazzolo.
I told you guys about an 8-year.
It's not Palazzolo because that'd be UH.
You know,
Palazzolo.
8 years as a minor league pitcher, and then went over to Pro Football Focus. Throws a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. 6'9".
Steve?
Yeah.
Steve what?
Palazzolo. I remember from Winston-Salem, of course.
But that'd be UH.
Palazzolo.
Yeah.
Palazzolo. Maybe I got it wrong.
I think we all have it wrong.
Palazzolo.
Palazzolo. It isn't clear from that. We put putting the accent on the
You
right
got a
syllable.
nickname maybe I could go by?
But that's actually not accent. That's not how you'd get it at ESPN. They would give you
they would give
in like parentheses with like real
something
sound.
professional.
Oh, it's small and bigger because the capitalized would be where you stress it. All right, we'll figure it out later.
Palazzolo.
Oh, look who's greeting me at the door. It's cookie time for my girlfriend. Wait, what are you doing? Come here. Can I have your paw? Sit. Good girl. God, these are bigger hands than mine. It's tough being a beautiful, dainty girl with paws like that. Can I get you a cookie? And then that's it. And there she is. Well, and I think about this. This is a big deal for me. Okay, go back to sleep like the rest of America during this show. Thanks, Penny. I know at the Laker games you always see the people in the front row, but when's the last time you paused and you saw somebody famous in the crowd at a Dodger game?
Okay. So we have famous people all the time, every night.
Okay.
But I will say this. Last year in September, Ice Cube was at one of our games. And sitting above our dugout, me as a 45-year-old man, so listening to NWA as a junior in high school in my Nissan Sentra with my little 2.8 subwoofer speakers in my Sentra. I was pretty awestruck.
If I told you could have been at that point, at that age, you could have been Ice Cube or Ricky Henderson, who would you have taken?
I still think I'd have been the Man of Steel.
You would have been Ricky?
I would have been Ricky, but Ice Cube would have been a close number 2.
You have to have a Ricky Henderson story. It seems like everybody's got a Ricky Henderson story. You got one?
So playing for the Dodgers, we trade for Ricky. So I am driving to the ballpark, and so I'm with Ricky at this point in time for probably about 3 weeks. And he's coming off the bench playing some left field. I'm playing center field. So apparently he does this radio interview, and they talk to Ricky about his role with the Dodgers. And so apparently he said he's just happy to be a Dodger and happy to be here, and all I want to do is help Robinson be the best leadoff hitter he can be. So then I show up to the clubhouse that day, and on the top of my locker is the name Robinson. So for 3 weeks, he's looking at the big board seeing Dave Roberts, but apparently it was Robinson. So ever since, at that point in time, everyone called me Robinson. So that was my Ricky story.
Oh, Ricky B. Ricky.
Everyone's got one.
I don't know if the audience is familiar with Ethan. He's our star researcher, a Harvard grad, and it's his Ethan. It's his day off, and he sent me in the following. We have a measure for clutch drives and clutch drive opportunities. Since 2000, the NFL's success rate in a clutch drive opportunity is just over 40%. Russell Wilson's success rate is 59%. Highest in the NFL in the last 20 years. That includes the postseason. Also, highest fourth quarter passer rating since 2012. Russell Wilson is 1, Deshaun Watson 2, Tony Romo 3, Aaron Rodgers 4, Patrick Mahomes is 5. He is the senior analyst at Pro Football Focus, Steve Palazzolo. How's that? Palazzolo.
You had it during the
Palazzolo.
break.
I know. Okay, Fritzy, you want to try?
Steve Palazzolo.
Palazzolo. McLovin?
Yes, Steve Palazzolo.
All right. Paulie?
Palazzolo.
Perfect. Acceptable.
Steve Palazzolo joining us, senior. I got the Steve part right there.
You did. Nailed it.
Now, you work for Pro Football Focus, but you were also in the minor leagues for how many years?
8 years between independent ball and a couple affiliated teams.
Okay. Your favorite minor league story is what?
Oh, man. I mean, I'll brag a little bit. When I threw in AAA, Buster Posey was my catcher.
Okay.
And I threw 16 scoreless innings to him in relief over about a month. And then they put it, then I threw to the backup one time, gave up 5. So I like to think the backup catcher just, it was his fault. Let me throw to Buster.
The best player you gave up a home run to was who?
Carlos Gonzalez, I think.
All right.
He was pretty good.
Cargo, yeah. It was not bad. And how many stops along the way did you have in the minor leagues?
8 years, about 8 stops, 9 stops. I was with the Giants, Brewers, Mariners, all over the place. Bunch of independent ball, and made it up to AAA for a little bit.
How close to being real is Bull Durham, in your opinion?
Is Bull Durham? Yeah, I think there's a lot of realism to it. Obviously, they're taking it to the next level with some of the one-liners and stuff like that. But the bus trips and the challenges and all that stuff, pretty well defined there.
But you didn't have a Susan Sarandon maybe waiting after the game for you in the minor leagues.
I have no comment. Not me, but I'll tell you what, there is some interesting minor league cities. I'll say that. Not me, but it's an interesting world, Dan.
I'm sure it is. I think when I was growing up, they were called stage door Jonies.
Wow.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us here. And I saw that Pro Football Focus, I have great respect for Pro Football Focus, that you have their quarterbacks and you have different tiers here. So explain how you came up with the criteria of where you were ranking these quarterbacks.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm not good for TV because everybody wants this really nice hot take, and you've got quarterback 1 and quarterback 32, and I'm like, look, that's just not how the NFL works, right? So I've always looked at the tier 1 quarterback, and I think through the years you said, okay, that's Brady, that's Breeze, Rodgers, Peyton. Those guys can carry a team no matter what happens. Tier 2, I feel like there's always, 6 or 8 guys in the league at any given time that you feel like, hey, they can carry an offense. You want to have a good situation around them. They're just outside that top tier. And then tier 3 is probably that most extensive group where you have these guys any given year. If the situation's right, the play calling, the playmakers, they can have a great year. If that stuff's not there, they're not looking all that good. I think there's a big group of signal callers that fit into that tier 3. And then 4 is either an unknown or these guys are, maybe their last year starting, their last opportunity. They're young. They haven't proven it yet. So I just try to throw guys into those various buckets because I think there is some somewhat clear lines around the NFL these days.
Okay, your top tier quarterbacks are who?
Just Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson. And I think, again, this was one of those, Brady was always there and Breeze was always there. I think with their age, they're declining just a touch. I think Aaron Rodgers, we've seen him decline in recent years. He hasn't been that guy who, no matter who you throw around him, the results are there. So I think all those guys dropped down a little bit. Patrick Mahomes pretty much stepped right in to being a tier 1 quarterback since he started. And I would say Russell Wilson kind of jumped up from 2 to 1 over these last couple of years. He was always very good. He was always one of those top 8 guys, but he's right there with Mahomes in our throw-by-throw grading over the last 2 seasons.
Why is Lamar Jackson tier 2?
I think with Lamar, it's just let's see it one more time. I think an important part of doing this work is saying last year's not the only thing that happened, right? 2 years ago, he wasn't all that accurate. He did improve that last year. I think it's just, hey, let's see it one more time. And then a year from now, he could be in tier 1.
How big of a drop-off have we had with Tom Brady?
I don't think it's nearly as big as the stats would show last year. He was our 12th graded quarterback last year, but I think by all statistical measures, he was 25th or 26th or whatever it might have been. So I think that's kind of the beauty of the PFF system. We could say, look, we're going to grade every single throw, where you throw it, the accuracy, the decision-making, but the stats and the output are so dependent on playmakers and play calling and the situation, as I was mentioning. I think that took a massive step back for Brady last year. So I would say he's taken slight steps back over the last couple of years, but not nearly as bad as the numbers would show. So you would think, assuming he picks up the system with Bruce Arians, they're on the same page, he should have a better season with all those playmakers around him.
Who else is there at tier 2?
So we've got, so we mentioned Lamar. Why am I drawing a blank right now on these guys? Deshaun Watson. He's one of those guys. So Watson's kind of like Russell Wilson in past years. Wilson would always have those 2 or 3 games where you just massively question, why is he having this terrible game? That's Watson right now. Like one week he's an MVP candidate, the next week he's terrible. I think he's right there in that mix. Matt Ryan has quietly been really, really good year in, year out. He's coming off a rough season, but I think Matt Ryan's going to be right up there. I mentioned Brady and Breeze. They're both in there. And then Aaron Rodgers, who I mentioned before too. Again, I don't think he's been a tier 1 quarterback, but he's still certainly more than capable. And if they put better playmakers around him in Green Bay, I think he'd bounce back, quite a bit.
Yeah, but they don't have better playmakers in Green Bay.
No, they don't. I don't like their strategy right now. I think they're trying to essentially take the ball out of Rodgers' hands rather than put it in his hands. And I think that's potentially a mistake if they focus too much on the run game.
Steve Palazzolo joining us on loan from Pro Football Focus, one of their senior analysts. If I said you could sign one of these quarterbacks for the same price the next 5 years, I gave you Garoppolo, Goff, Prescott, Wentz.
Oh, man, I think it's between Wentz and Prescott. And I think it's more just because of their high-end capabilities. That they are all in that tier 3. They've all had great seasons. One of my favorite ways of breaking down that 2016 class, you've got Wentz, you have Goff, and you have Dak. They've all been our top-graded quarterback in one, in a season. Dak now has 2 of them in the 4 years they've been in the league. So I'd probably lean either Wentz or Dak. I'll go with Dak right now because I've just seen what he can do with that really nice supporting cast. But it's really, really close, I'd say, between Dak and Wentz.
Do you think Dak's a great quarterback?
No, I don't think he's great. Here's what I think the NFL, I think over the last decade, if you went back and everybody put together a top 8 quarterback list, you'd almost certainly land around the same names. I think we're at this transitional point where Ben Roethlisberger's dropped off and Phillip Rivers, Brady, Breeze, all those guys, right? We don't know what that next tier is. So I think Dak could be in that next group. I just don't know that they're there yet. I think we're just in this world of middle-class quarterbacks, and I think Dak is in that boat. I think Wentz is in that boat where, again, if you give Dak Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and Kellen Moore calling plays, you're going to get great production like you did last year. You're going to get Carson Wentz's 2017 season where he was an MVP candidate. Everybody thought, year 2, here he goes. He's going to be the next big thing. But it was the situation. It was everything around him that was great. I think that's the state of the NFL. There's a bunch of middle-class quarterbacks, Dak being one of them, where when the situation's great, they can have top 10 production.
Would you rather have Josh Allen or Kyler Murray?
Oh, I'm going Kyler on this. we butt heads with Bills fans quite a bit. I think Josh Allen's just, they won a lot of games last year. He's just so inconsistent. Highest percentage of negatively graded throws in our system last year. He just misses too many. He did take steps forward. The rushing ability is nice, but I think Kyler's he's more accurate, better decision maker, has that same dynamic rushing ability. I would take Kyler over Allen going forward.
Who's the lowest rated starting quarterback?
I told you, Dan, I just put tiers out here. I'm not trying to trash anybody, but Darnold's down there, Trubisky's down there. Trubisky was one of those guys. I think our system did a really good job of saying, hey, 2018 was a mirage. They won a lot of games. The stats were really good. He did not grade well at all. And he regressed last year. I think it kind of backed up our numbers. So I think when you look at what Trubisky's done, I don't know if he's considered a starter right now with Foles in there, but he's been among the worst over the last couple of years.
If Cam Newton was healthy, where would he be on this list?
See, I think he's right in that tier 3. I think he's right in the middle. And I think when you go back and look at Cam's career, the headlines are interesting, right? The Patriots signed former MVP Cam Newton. I think he was an MVP, but 1 out of his 8 seasons, he's been an elite quarterback. I think when you really look at his career, he's been good, not great. Which is
his
fine.
Rookie year, he was really good.
Yeah, but he broke rookie records, which were a lot of passing yards and like first game passing yards, things that I don't think matter going forward. So I think he's been really good throughout his career. 2015 was exceptional, but he's a good, not great quarterback. People are talking Hall of Fame for Cam. I just don't see it. But I think with New England, there's a skill set to tap into, right? Do they want to run him a little bit? He's on a 1-year deal. So I think he's a tier 3 quarterback, which means the Patriots use him well. If some of those playmakers emerge, he could put up some pretty good production.
Let me go back to the stats that I was reading to the audience about Russell Wilson. Why is it Seattle hasn't gone all in to surround Russell Wilson with a potent offense like the Rams did with Jared Goff and like the Niners did with Jimmy Garoppolo?
I think it's a philosophy that they have to run the ball to win. I really think it starts with Pete Carroll saying, look, we have to run the ball. And I think there's anecdotal evidence, right? Like when we had a Marshawn Lynch and when we had that defense, we won a Super Bowl and we were 1 play away from winning 2. And I think they think that's how they have to win. And then there was 1 year, I think 2015, they kind of unleashed Russell Wilson. Hey, go chuck it. We got no passing game. And they didn't win. And then there was another year they unleashed him and they didn't make the play. 2017, they didn't make the playoffs. And then in 18, they said, all right, we're getting back to the running game. We're taking the ball out of Wilson's hands. And they made the playoffs by like 1 game. And I think their thinking is just wrong in that. I think it's they think they need to run the ball to win, when the reality is instead of having Russell Wilson drop back 25 times, like if he drops back 35 times, he'll be okay. He can carry this team, and they need to put the ball in his hands. And to your point, add those playmakers around him.
I don't need you to necessarily assess Jamal Adams, but the importance of the safety position in today's NFL is what compared to edge rusher, cornerback, and anybody else you want to throw in there on defense?
So the tricky part here, I'd say, so it's cornerback first, and a lot of the research we've done is actually if you want to build a team, you want to do it from back to front. It's kind of the opposite of the way I think the NFL has thought about it through the years. The Ravens did that last year, and obviously Seattle's doing it right now. They have our lowest graded or our lowest ranked defensive line going into the year, and their secondary is top 5 now with Jamal Adams. So I'd say cornerback's most important. If you know you're going to get a good safety, it is actually probably more valuable than the edge rusher that makes $15 million a year. So I don't mind this deal overall for Seattle, but if you're going to invest in a safety, a do-it-all safety like Jamal Adams, who can play every single position, affect your run defense, your pass coverage, and actually rush the passer a little bit, I think there's a ton of value there. The question of compensation, though, is a separate one.
If I said you could have Jamal Adams or DeAndre Hopkins if you're Seattle,
I'm always taking the receiver. I mean, again,
but why didn't they make a run on DeAndre Hopkins or Stephon Diggs if you're going to make a run on Jamal Adams?
I honestly think because they want to run the ball. My theory for team building is you try to get 4 deep as far as your receivers and tight ends, right? You want to have 4 guys where defensive coordinators are staying up at night to stop you. And I think Seattle's looking at, they got their 2. They got DK Metcalf. They have Tyler Lockett. They still feel Pete Carroll's a defensive coach. They feel like they need to win with defense. That's why they did it, I think. I disagree. You throw Hopkins into the mix, you throw Stephon Diggs into the mix, and, make life difficult for defensive coordinators. To me, that's how you win in today's NFL.
Great stuff, Steve. We appreciate your time. And now that we figured out how to pronounce your name, then we'll have you back on the show.
Perfect. Anytime. Appreciate it.
He was the pallbearer, and that's the nickname. Were you known as the pallbearer in minor leagues?
No, I was not good enough to have any nickname. I think I was the leaning tower of, I was some sort of tower of something. Well, I don't know.
Well, you're 6'9", right?
6'10". I listed 6'10", Dan, so 6'10".
The leaning tower of something.
Of pitcher. I forget what it was. I got to look it up. It's on the internet somewhere.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Senior analyst, Pro Football Focus. Fritzy, you know how to pronounce his name?
Palazzolo.
There you go. Yes, McLovin, what?
The pallbearer could be bad, too, because after you let off a home run, your teammates could carry you off back to the bullpen. I'm just thinking about that.
No, I like the pallbearer. I'd have to give that a little bit more thought. The leaning tower of what? Like, that's what I'd be curious. You're 6'10". That might not be good either. The leaning tower of... Yeah, we have to workshop that one. All right, we'll take a break. That was good stuff. Interesting stuff. Your phone calls are next here on the Dan Patrick Show. I know you're a little fired up, a little angry. You want to take out your frustrations.
Yeah, who wrote who is it? Who's putting
do you want to tell him who wrote those things?
I curated that list, but I can't really catch. McLovin will stand in for me.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to tell him who wrote those things?
I don't, but I mean, it's become a tradition for quarterbacks to throw. I mean, this would be a good warm-up to have a soft-tossing lefty. So for the other QBs later in the week.
Soft tossing lefty. Him being bandaged up all week would be good content for the show, right? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait, is Blake Bortles coming in to throw at me?
No, Baselli's coming though. Watch out.
McLovin he's taken on the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Montana, Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Eli, I mean, there's a long list, and he makes fun of them before they start to throw.
Did Rodgers throw like a missile at you? How did he do it?
He threw a bullet that I said if it hit McLovin in the heart, he would have killed him.
Oh, I mean, I've never seen anybody throw the ball like Aaron Rodgers. So,
he threw the ball.
You're going to catch just about anybody.
Yes. Yeah, he threw hard. You're taking off glasses. This is a tradition unlike any other.
Wait, do I need a helmet?
Yeah, you probably do.
Do we have a helmet?
Nah.
Okay, Chris is going to have...
You're not that good looking. Don't worry.
Wait, no,
Nobody
we should
cares.
put on a helmet.
Helmet would be good.
Give me a helmet. I got 2 throws for me.
He opened it up.
You're just mad about the Holiday Bowl thing.
I can't believe I threw 4 interceptions that game.
Okay.
Damn.
So...
No. This is symbolic. This has a...
I know helmet.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Let me take out the...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just go. Okay.
We need a helmet for tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I'll get you a helmet.
Wait, Dan, is there anything you don't want to break?
When a real quarterback shows up, I will get you.
Wait, is there anything you don't want to break?
We're ready.
Okay. All right. You ready?
All right, so I'm throwing 2 balls, just throwing them at him?
Throw one soft one. Just let
Okay, here's one soft
Let me
one.
just see.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
Nice little zip there.
Yeah. Balls are not broken in, but... Oh.
All right.
Stick your other hand up there.
Yeah, don't go
I was trying to do
one-handed.
one-handed.
Yeah, don't worry. You're not that good to do one hand yet.
Easy.
Good body catches. Go ahead. Move. Take back a step. So, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. These balls are hard to grip, though.
Okay. I'll give you one.
Go ahead. Let me have
You
another
big
one.
complainer.
I won't complain. That's all right. Damn, Dan.
By the way.
Come on.
Light him up. Sorry.
What'd you say about my holiday bowl?
Where'd that one go?
Here.
You told me to take it out on him.
No, I said
All right, Dan, I'm warmed up. Chris can start throwing.
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, good job.
Come on, McLovin.
Wait, one more. I gotta catch
more.
these. These are good passes.
One more.
Come on, here we go.
I'm having trouble with the light.
Yeah, it's the light.
Oh!
Don't lose your spleen. Don't lose your spleen.
Right in the spleen. Right in the spleen.
Spleen buster.
That one hurt. That one.
It's mail time. I'm back. Opening your mail, mailing it in. I I hear my nephew's watching today, so what's up, Lukey? How's it going? Little shout out from my nephew. All right, so we got some stuff here. We got, it looks like some treats for Penny, which is always nice. Penny always appreciates the treats. And then we got something in here. Doing the whole stick mic, one hand open today. So what do we got here? We got a patch. This patch is from Grand Canyon Airport. That's cool. I don't think we got anything from an airport. This is the first airport patch. Check that out. And then in here, it says, hi, Dan and the Danettes. Have loved the show for years. Have sent you many things for the man cave over the years. So here's a patch and some pics along with some treats for Penny, the production assistant. Oh, no. She's more than a production assistant, Michael. Thank you, though. She will appreciate that. Moving on. We got something, it looks like, from Jeff and Vanessa. Jeff and Vanessa. It looks like they're asking this to be signed. So we'll get that back to you. Jeff and Vanessa. It looks like these are all, some of the movies Dan's been featured in, Sandler. And then I got 30 seconds. What else we got here? Tequila Mockingbird. So if you guys follow the show, we were talking about Tequila Mockingbird a couple months ago. So thank you for that. Let me get a name on that before we go. And that is from Cheryl. Cheryl and Charlotte. I'll see you guys next time. Suck a Chat Row.
Couple of phone calls here. Let me see. Marcus in Colorado. Marcus, been holding for a while. Thanks for your patience. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Dan, 58220. Dan, I'm with you on these lists. These are just stupid clickbait lists. They make these outrageous statements in order to get people to read their articles. But I absolutely love when McLovin brings them up and how upset you get about them. I know these lists really get you down, but I just saw Outer Banks was picked up for a second season. So hopefully that picks up your morale.
All right. Well, thank you, Marcus. Yeah, Outer Banks. When I told my daughters that I was watching this show, I think it's Netflix, and it's like teenage drama, and they were, I think, both excited and disappointed that I would be watching this show. And probably not in that order. Yes, Todd.
I told my daughter the same thing, and she had a very similar reaction. She was like, couldn't believe you were watching that, but she thought it was kind of cool that you checked it out.
I'm running out of things to watch on Netflix and Amazon Prime, and I'm searching here a little bit. And I started watching a 5-part series on the Mafia, the New York Mafia. So I watched one episode of that.
It's fiction.
Yeah. You got something for me on a show to watch there, Seton?
I'm halfway through season 2 of The Deuce on HBO.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You don't want to watch that one when the kids are around.
Yeah. I started watching it a little. Maggie Gyllenhaal was really good in it, but I was like, no. I remember, being in Times Square back in the early 80s. And that was a seedy place to go, man. That whole area, 42nd Street, that was some seedy stuff. And then you watch the Mafia stuff, and you're back in the 70s and the 80s, and I was there in New York in the 80s. There was so much stuff going on. Like, you'd pick up the tabloids, the New York Post or Daily News. There was somebody getting whacked, be on the front page. But just being around that. My wife's from Staten Island, so Paul Castellano lived in Staten Island. And then a lot of these guys who were in the Mafia would never have any shrubbery in front of their houses, so you couldn't hide there. You'd have these beautiful places, and then there'd be no bushes, no hedges, no nothing in there. Yes, Ed.
When I was younger and still lived in New Jersey, we had these people moved in next door to us, and they came from Staten Island, and they were like, we got to get out here over to Jersey where it's just nice. There's trees, and there's green and bushes and all this stuff. And within the first month, they completely leveled their backyard, cemented over everything, and put in a pool. We're like, you came here for all the green, and then you got rid of your entire yard.
Josh in Ohio joins us. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Dan, 5'9", 200. First time caller. Thanks for having me on. Listening to all this MLB news with the Marlins and kind of the scare it's putting on everybody. I'm out here driving for work, and I'm kind of brainstorming some NFL ideas. If the NFL has maybe any worry that their season would be able to go on or keep on, what do you guys think about a all-division schedule? So kind of maybe do something like 4 games per team in your division only. It would limit your exposure between divisions. So if you did have an outbreak, you'd be able to limit it to your division if you had to cancel a week or 2 of games.
Well, we brought that up earlier, Josh. I brought that up in the first hour, and thanks for the phone call. But here's the problem. The AFC East, if you have the Jets, Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, that doesn't mean you could take bus rides or trains. You want to be able to get to the other team's stadium. You got to factor in that. But if you're saying I have all the Florida teams and they're going to be playing one another, yes, Eden.
So if you're looking at that, right, if you sort of look at a map of where the league, every team in the NFL is located, there's only a few that are sort of outliers that are out all by themselves. Like the Seattle Seahawks, they don't really have anybody all that close to them. The Broncos are sort of out alone. Kansas City is sort of out there on their own. But other than that, you could split it up into pretty easy divisions.
Like regional divisions.
Just based on region, yeah.
Yeah, and I just threw that out there to Albert Breer, the Monday morning quarterback, just in case we got to that point. He said the topic was broached back in April, but the players did not want any part of it.
There's USL Championship Soccer is already basically doing the same model, and they have way more teams than the NFL. And I would imagine not nearly the resources to do it. And so far, it's been working great. They're, 4 games into the season, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know if, the NFL, I guess, that at least it was broached. The topic was broached, but it was quickly turned down, according to Albert Breer. So I was just wondering if we get to that point, just like baseball did. Baseball, let's get rid of, what our traditional divisions here, and let's just do regional here. I mean, it's not ideal, but there's nothing about this that is ideal. Mike in Washington joining us. Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud.
Hey, 6'2", hard, 185. Hey, I'm obviously a little biased, but I like to see that Russell Wilson's finally getting the respect he deserves. I think you hit the nail on the head. He's done more with less than any other quarterback.
Yeah, and also,
Jamal Adams.
We're talking about, that why don't they give him more offensive weapons? But you have a head coach who is a defensive-minded coach, and he wants to run the ball and play great defense.
I think going into next year, I think Russell Wilson and Metcalf have an opportunity to be one of the top 5 quarterback receivers, and that's just, again, me being biased. And then with Jamal Adams coming in, once we got Diggs last year, we ended up leading the league in takeaways. We're releasing the top 2. So I think Jamal Adams coming in is a really good call. I did have a question with the salary caps. You see so many teams tanking for the number 1 draft pick, and then a team will get a rookie and then give them a big contract, and you end up having to lose all your good players. And it just seems like this trend that's constantly going over and over and over. Do you think that there's a way that the league would create a salary cap for quarterbacks per team?
Yes, something we've discussed on this program before, Mike, but thanks for the phone call. Yeah, we brought that up. Paulie brought it up a while ago, where it's like, why don't we just separate the quarterback here? And, the position is going to get slotted with the amount of money that you can spend on your quarterback, and then you can spend the money on the rest of your roster. All right, final hour coming up. More phone calls as well. The Phillies, no players or coaches tested positive in the most recent batch of corona tests after playing the Marlins. That doesn't mean that they're out of the woods yet. I'll explain. hear the LeBron-Michael Jordan comparisons or argument or discussion, what do you think?
Well, they're two different players. I mean, LeBron is a pass-first guy. LeBron, I've seen LeBron. He'll move the ball. He'll do stuff. Michael was a scoring assassin. LeBron's a better passer, better rebounder than Michael. Michael just had that late game, unbelievable drive, great one-on-one player from certain spots on the floor. They're really different. So it's always hard. I always say LeBron's a little bit of a combination of Magic and Larry and just a unique unto himself. Michael was just a phenomenal scorer, with just a gritty, tough, take no prisoners type attitude, and they're different. So I hear the comparisons. Two of the top players who ever have played the game. It just depends on what you like. Like I always tell people, like if I was playing, I'd rather play with LeBron James. Because after I made like 8 in a row, he's giving me my 9th one. I might make 8 in a row, and Michael say, "Hey, you've had enough. I'm gonna go get mine now." So, it depends on.
Well, Bird did that too.
What you're looking at.
Didn't Bird do that to you as well? Like, would he always go to you, or would he say, "All right, all right, Kevin, that's enough"?
No, Birdie was a very unselfish guy. He didn't force anything. He'd take shots, but if you were hot, believe me, he was one of the first guys to say, "Hey, get Kevin the ball, get Robert the ball, get whoever the hot man the ball was." So yeah, no, that was now Larry played the game very very pure when he was out on the floor. He just didn't he didn't look to take bad shots if someone had it going. Like now, if you're struggling on the offensive end, Larry would search his offense, but if you had something that works, but that's the way we all kind of played. If Robert had it going, Robert got it. So it was an unselfish group of guys.
What do you remember about the locker room after Michael Jordan scored 63 on you guys in the Garden? Because you guys won the game.
We all went to Casey Jones and said we better double team that guy. He's a hell of a lot better than we thought he was. Because he had 49, I think, in the 45 or 49 in the first game. And honestly, I tell people this all the time. We barely game planned for Chicago. They had won like 33, 35 games in a regular season. We had won 67. We kind of went in there and said, okay, look, let's just run our stuff. Let's take care of what we got to do. Let's just be us, and we'll be fine. We'll switch on Michael. We'll do some stuff. We're not gonna double team him. And after that, in Game 3, we all went like, okay, we got a game plan for this guy. And I know you have a bunch of guys that will look up stats. I honestly don't know the stats, but in Game 3, because I remember going in there and everybody was all upset because I brought a Dobb kit. I didn't bring any clothes, and I was like, we're leaving them. We're going to play one game and we're gone. And they were all like, they almost beat you. It was an overtime game, and I went like, nah, we're going to hammer these guys and we're going to go home. And they were all upset. The media made a big thing about me only bringing a Dobb kit, no clothes on the road. They said, what are you going to do if you lose? I said, I guess I'll smell bad. And, we beat them, and off we went. So someone look and see what he did in the third game. You got all the Danettes over there doing nothing, so have them do something.
Paulie, do something for Kevin.
In Game 3, Jordan had 19 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. Only 19 points.
What was he from the floor?
He was 8 for 18.
Yeah, because we double teamed him almost every time and just said, man, we got to get the ball out of this guy's hands. And so, yeah, we shut him down a little bit. But I tell you one thing though, that was kind of, I knew he could really play. I just didn't know he was quite that explosive, and that was kind of the start of Michael just blowing up and just being a damn near unstoppable force on the offensive end.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
The Lou Williams situation here goes to Atlanta, goes to a strip club to order takeout. But Mark Stein, what is the violation?
Any public place is, to me, an egregious violation. I mean, the bubble has started. You're on an excused absence to attend a family funeral. Does it really need to be explained that the only place you should go is that family funeral? It was irresponsible. It was selfish. Thank God it was photographed. He could have gotten back here and no one would have known where he was. And that would have been 10 times worse.
Order up!
Yeah, Paul.
If you order your wings dry rubbed at a strip club, there's a whole different connotation.
Okay.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Well, get you up to speed. 4 more Marlins have tested positive. Welcome to the final hour here on Tuesday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Also, no Philadelphia Phillies players or coaches tested positive in the most recent batch of coronavirus tests after the Marlins and the Phillies played. Jeff Passan of the Mothership followed up that report by saying it's important to understand just because the Phillies tests have come back clean today doesn't clear them. The incubation period for the coronavirus per the CDC is up to 14 days. No positives today doesn't mean that there are no positives. A good initial sign, though. That's according to Jeff Passan of the Mothership. 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP-SHOW. If you listen and or watch the show, you know I hate lists. Well, actually, I'm okay with lists. I don't like when lists are inaccurate. Like Michael Jordan being voted the best college basketball player of all time. That bothered me. It bothered me a lot. There are other lists that come out, and I'm a little more tolerant with them. McLovin came in today, goes, man, I'm mad. I go, about what? Carson Wentz is not listed among the top 100 NFL players according to the NFL Network. And I said, okay. And then he goes, no, Carson Wentz is not in there. Josh Allen and Kyler Murray are. Okay. Has anybody given an explanation on this? The players voted on this, McLovin. So if you have a problem, you should have a problem with the players. And is there a likability problem in? Not that that should factor in, but
I have no idea. I don't know. But I guess people say the NFL Network Top 100 list often has a lot of weird things that go on because of the voting system. It's not that comprehensive. Like the All-Star votes are never really, when players vote, is that usually an accurate portrayal?
Probably not, but this is different because you can't convince me Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Carson Wentz. You can't convince me Josh Allen is better than Carson Wentz. Kyler Murray is not better than Carson Wentz, but he might turn out to be. Kyler Murray, by all accounts, exceeded expectations last year in Arizona. And now you give him DeAndre Hopkins. You still have Larry Fitzgerald. All right, you got a chance to do some pretty interesting things there. But Carson Wentz is still among the, okay, if he's the 8th, his odds are the 8th best to win the MVP this year. By last look, according to Vegas. Okay.
The Vegas odds.
Now, are there all, those are all quarterbacks?
Yeah, it goes Mahomes, Jackson, Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Dak, Kyler Murray, and Carson tied at 8th.
Okay.
Dak makes sense because he's the Cowboys quarterback. If
Yeah,
he does anything, they're going to try and reward him.
Yeah. But Dak has put up good numbers. You know, Carson Wentz, I think, you know, he had that moment where he was going to be the MVP, decided to tuck the ball and run against the Rams, and his season was over. He was going to win the MVP. And maybe he would have led them to the Super Bowl win against the Patriots. But the fact that Nick Foles did, it almost like, and it happens so quickly in the NFL, where you're there and then you're gone because somebody else comes in. And then so you got new quarterbacks in. I got Joe Burrow in there now. I got Trevor Lawrence coming in next year. Justin Fields coming in next year. It just happens so quickly where we're waiting for that next guy. And Carson Wentz, he was up on the pedestal for a little while, but not as long as you would think. Great story, and then proved that he was a legitimate quarterback, got paid, and had a respectable year last year. But I'm surprised that Jimmy Garoppolo is that high. Jimmy Garoppolo should not be on the list. Certainly not in the top 50 players. And I think Garoppolo is, in the mid-40s there of top players, and I'm really surprised at that. Yeah, Paul.
Garoppolo feels kind of like where Jared Goff was a year and a half ago. His team gets to the Super Bowl. Remember they were scoring like crazy, that Rams team, and Goff may have been propped up by the team around him. He was very good that season, and the offense and defense were great. And Garoppolo last year, same thing. Good offense, great defense.
Yeah. But I know it's these lists, and if I'm Carson Wentz, use it to your advantage, all right? Got a chip on your shoulder? Great. Go out there and prove everybody wrong. 877-3DP show, email address dp@danpatrick.com. Do you have a poll question, McLevin?
Yeah, we went back to hour one. We were talking about which quarterback would you want to build a team around, and all these sort of upper mid-level guys, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dak Prescott, or Carson Wentz. Who do you think is leading the poll?
Well, it's either Wentz or Dak, right?
It's actually Wentz 1. Jimmy G somehow is second. He did make the Super Bowl. He's handsome.
So did Goff.
Yeah, and by the way, those guys both have monster contracts, as I recall.
I know, but what's the difference here between Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo?
They've both gone farther than Dak.
Yeah. Dak plays every game. He doesn't play well every game, but he plays every game.
Day in, day out.
Here's some numbers for you. You know Ethan, who's our stats guy, graduated from Harvard. Ethan. And he has the day off today, and he just sent this in. Dak Prescott has 97 touchdown passes, 36 interceptions. Carson Wentz has 97 touchdown passes, 35 interceptions. Are they really that different? It feels like Carson has shown us a higher side than Dak has. But that doesn't mean, Dak is not going to do that this year with all the weapons they have there. But I don't get caught up in these lists. I guess let's say there was the top 15 sportscasters or radio hosts, then I would probably get caught up in it if, I was down the list. But if I'm a quarterback, it's like, Cam Newton, just use it to your advantage. You got a chip on your shoulder. Go in and prove them wrong. Dan Orlovsky of the Mothership, former NFL quarterback, upset that Wentz not in the top 100. Orlovsky tweets, "Me confused. In 2017, number 3 top 100 players now not in the top 100. People need their dang eyes checked." 2017, Wentz, 60% completion, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 253 yards per game. 2019, 64% completion, 4,000 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, threw for 252 yards. And 2019, as Orlovsky points out, was done with way less help around him. Yeah, Carson Wentz quietly had a very good year. And and they won the division. Now, Dak, given that the Redskins aren't any good, the Giants are rebuilding, and you had Philadelphia all banged up, and Dallas still didn't win the division. So something should be said. There has to be accountability for that with Carson Wentz. But Carson Wentz not in the top 100, I don't agree. Here's another thing to keep an eye on. There's some NFL players, some names that you're familiar with, who are opting out of playing this season. And the Patriots are getting hurt here. Marcus Cannon and Dante Hightower are not going to play this year. The Chiefs' offensive lineman, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who is a doctor, says that he is going to continue to do what he's doing and help people fight the coronavirus, treat them, and he's not going to play. Eddie Goldman for the Bears just got paid, like a 4-year, $40 million deal. Not a big-name guy, but a talented player. He just announced that he's not going to play this year. Did you see where the Vikings infection control officer tested positive? I shouldn't laugh, but So why are you laughing? I don't know why I'm laughing. I just found it funny.
Nobody knows more about this than I do.
The Vikings announced Monday that Eric Sugarman, the team's head athletic director, trainer, and infection control officer, tested positive for corona. Wow. There would be irony in that, right, McLovin?
Yeah.
That would be ironic.
Typical Sugarman. You know that guy.
Sugarman. I hope he's okay after I laughed. It's fair to say that many people in the sports industry view the world through the football-colored glasses. The view of other sports is maybe a fun side activity to the main event, which happens in the fall. Or you're watching other sports to see what impact they might have on football. And I think football's going to be monitoring what's happening with the Marlins just to when or if there's an outbreak, how you treat that. And you had 4 more players from the Marlins roster. So I believe that's 18 members of the franchise, the organization, who have tested positive so far. And the non-bubble sports, that they face an uphill battle fighting the virus, and the early news isn't great for the NFL. They try to open camps. And like every sport, they've had a number of positive tests. Yesterday, the Vikings head trainer, tested positive. So that's where we are. The sheer number of players on a football team and the sizable staff present an enormous challenge here coming up. And the logistics of the NBA-style bubble would have been really difficult to pull off. You just can't imagine a whole football team, a world descending into one city. Or you could have maybe a couple of bubbles like the NHL has. The NFL trying to figure it out, and hopefully they can learn from what they're seeing with Major League Baseball as we move forward. Jason LaCanfora, the information guy for CBS, he said that he was talking to a couple of anonymous sources, and these are all people in the executives. One AFC team executive said the NFL better be looking at an 8-game schedule. You also had another high-ranking team official. We're playing 16 games in this? ? Really? ? Then he goes on to say, this is why some GMs I've talked to believe 10 or 12 games would be the max. This is why another GM recently caught himself talking about when the season starts and quickly changed it to if. There's degree of difficulty. We knew this going in, and I think, these leagues are listening and watching other leagues to see what they're doing and how they're doing. And by all accounts, looks like the NBA has done it right. And we're going to have basketball coming up in a couple of days. College football, to me, is going to have a real difficult time just with the sheer number of players and trying to control them. And you have, colleges, coaches, they're changing their schedule. Like, can we move up a game? Can we move back a game? But I think just trying to keep everybody safe here in a college atmosphere is going to be difficult. Because you can say to a professional, hey, you've got to be smart with where you go, what you do, when you leave the facility. With college kids, good luck with that. And I think that, that's where college football is going to have a real difficult time with any fluidity in this season. It just feels like there's going to be situations where games are postponed, canceled. Can you move them back? If you start the season later, does that help? I don't know if it helps, but I don't look at this as doom and gloom because we've gotten farther than I thought we were going to. I didn't think we were going to have an NBA season. I thought that the NFL season would be pushed back. I thought college football was in serious jeopardy. I didn't know if baseball would ever get their act together. Now, that's not to say that just because you start, you're going to finish. Because I have serious doubts about baseball finishing. And I have doubts about college football and the NFL being able to finish. Hockey seems like they got it, under wraps there. Feels like they got a pretty good handle here. And the NBA, it feels like they got a pretty good handle. Once you get in the bubble, you stay in the bubble, and they monitor you, then it feels like the NBA should be able to get this started and, hopefully to completion here, that you get a championship here. This is why it's so important for these leagues. The reason why they're going through all of these, loopholes is they're trying, not even loopholes, they're trying to overcome all these hurdles, is there's so much money in the postseason. Everybody wants to get to the postseason because that's where your money is. That's why baseball added 6 more teams. 6 more teams. I'm going to make up a little bit of revenue here. I don't know. This could be the year college football could say, we're going to do a 16-team playoff, and no one's going to complain. Now, I know you have a contract with the mothership, but that's where you could make even more money in the postseason. Football, adding more playoff teams. You got to get to the playoffs. Hockey, the same way. Get to the playoffs. Baseball, get to the postseason. They don't care about the 60 games. They care about all of those playoff games. That is the big key here. The Phillies are reporting to their ballpark today in small groups to submit saliva samples before departing for New York tomorrow. Joe Girardi told the MLB Network moments ago, team doesn't have access to the clubhouse at the ballpark today. So they have a field trip to their ballpark to submit saliva samples before departing for New York tomorrow. Because the Yankees were going to come there for a couple of games. Now they're going to New York. But nobody has tested positive yet with the Phillies. Right now, it's just been the Florida Marlins. 877-3DP-SHOW, email address dp@danpatrick.com. That's a pretty good story there with Alex Smith and the Redskins. And if you got to see I don't think it was a 30 for 30. It might have been an E60 story that was done on Alex Smith. It was really well done. But it's well done because of the access that Alex Smith was giving ESPN and letting you in on exactly what he was going through. And I think he's up to maybe 17 surgeries here to try to come back from that devastating knee injury. And when you have these injuries and they're worried sometimes that there's artery damage or that you could have your leg amputated. But Alex Smith, he hasn't been cleared to play by the Redskins doctors. He's on the physically unable to perform list. But if Alex Smith is healthy, then he's your best quarterback there. But I don't know if Alex Smith plays for the Redskins again. They might say to him, hey, Alex, we're going to settle your contract here, and then if you want to try to play somewhere else, then you have our stamp of approval. But he's almost back. I think his doctor cleared him to start working out, but not to be able to actually practice with Washington. Yeah, Paulie.
Yeah, Dan, that's exactly right. Ron Rivera said that Alex Smith has passed part of his physicals, but they still have to do the football portion of the physicals. Therefore, he's on the PUP list right now. If you are put on the PUP list before the camp starts, they could take you off of it. If you are put on it like in the middle of training camp, you're kind of on it for the season. So this would give them the option of bringing him onto the active roster almost at any point.
Yeah, it's a good story, and you can't help but root for him. He was there in Kansas City, and then they brought in Mahomes. He was in San Francisco, then they brought in Kaepernick. Here he is in Washington. He gets injured. Now they bring in Dwayne Haskins. They move on. They move on quickly. Maybe he gets an opportunity, but I think team doctors are probably going to have a hard time saying, let's trot Alex Smith back out there. Even if he's cleared to play. I don't know if he plays another game, certainly for Washington. Yeah, McLevin.
What a weird career that you just described.
Yes. So he's number one. Aaron Rodgers goes at the end of the first round. And then he goes he is a very good quarterback. He's not great, but he's a very good quarterback. When healthy, he wins. His winning percentage is pretty impressive, I think. It's probably like 75 wins and 45 losses, something like that. But he's never been good enough to be better than the guy behind him or the guy that they brought in. And I don't think he's going to be playing football. But the fact that he's even this close is really amazing. I had a hard time watching this. And having gone through 6 knee surgeries, it paled in comparison to what this poor man went through. And that it was in graphic detail. They showed you what he was going through. And wasn't it Lattimore, the South Carolina running back, Marcus Lattimore, that I think they were worried when he got hurt that, you risk amputation depending on the severity. Teddy Bridgewater, when he got hurt. Blood vessels, and all the things that could go wrong. And Alex Smith had just about everything you could possibly have. And it's tough to watch, but if you want to see, somebody overcoming an injury and the perseverance, Alex Smith showed me far more in that than he ever did on a football field. And he did some great things on a football field. Yeah, McLevin.
When he threw at me in the Super Bowl set, it was very catchable ball, even when it was.
That was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But remember, I've always called him, and he got traded that day when he was there with us in Minnesota. And I've always referred to him as a game manager. And I was watching Pardon the Interruption last night. Michael Wilbon said, people call him, Alex Smith, a game manager. Well, I call him a manager, and I mean that in a positive way, because if you put him in a different era, he's a Bart Starr or he's Bob Greasy. He's a guy and quarterbacks used to manage games. Troy Aikman was a game manager. Now it's just, hey, let's just throw the football. But these guys, Johnny Unitas managed a football game. And that's the compliment that he took. He was taking what you were giving him and then trying to take even more. And he could beat you with his legs. He was really a good quarterback. Not great, but good. But he knew how to. It's the difference. Like Greg Maddux pitches. Other guys throw. What I was talking about with Alex Smith, and I meant this with a full compliment of he manages a football game. Start to finish. How to win a game. Russell Wilson does this. He manages a game. All right, we'll take a break. More phone calls coming up here. It's 22 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Oh, we got DraftKings back with us. All right. The final 22 teams have made their way down to Orlando, and they're ready to get back on the court. So the leader in one-day fantasy sports, DraftKings, celebrating the return of basketball. DraftKings will have not one but two $1 million top prizes through the first 2 days of the resumed season. So get in on all the action now. If you haven't tried it, fantasy basketball, easy to play. You get 8 players, stay under the salary cap, pile up the points for 3-pointers, rebounds, assists, and more. Download the DraftKings app now. Use the promo code SQUAD to get a free shot and millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. Promo code SQUAD to get a free shot at millions of dollars with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings. The minimum is $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Once again, your promo code is SQUAD. McLevin, you want to give the statement to Joe Montana?
Yeah, I've said it in the past that your son Nate is a system
No,
quarterback.
you did not say that. You did not say that.
No, I've said that you are a system quarterback, but there's nothing that precludes you from being the greatest ever by being a system quarterback because of what you just described.
Wait. You never went into the extra stuff.
You never asked me.
You just said, Joe Montana, system quarterback. Bill Walsh made you great.
No, I never said Bill Walsh made you great. I said that you're a system quarterback in the sense that you and Jerry Rice, everybody made each other better because you bought into the system.
Back. Just say it. Joe would respect you if you said it.
You just explained that Steve Young, Steve Bono, DeBerg all threw the ball the same way because you learned to love the system and you bought in.
No. We learned that you had to throw the ball like that because that's what he wanted. That was part of what how many guys you see diving for balls and jumping? Yeah. Think about our team. You didn't see it very often because Bill demanded you throw the ball accurately. And on occasion you'll see it, but in most cases, we didn't do that because you had to throw the ball correctly.
An example, I think, of a non-system quarterback, Fran Tarkenton, guys like, I don't think you were that kind of quarterback, or Randall Cunningham. Those are non-system quarterbacks. They made plays that were outside of what was the offensive game plan. Can you guys buy that? I don't mean it as an insult. That's what Bill Belichick got mad at me for.
But Joey said this before, that Brady's a system quarterback. They have a system there.
Yeah, they've all been in the same system, and like you pointed out too, is even Peyton has kind of created his own.
Yeah.
So, and as a quarterback, that's the most fun when you get to control the offense.
I was just watching Joe Montana.
Yeah.
And McLovin,
system
when he
quarterback.
called him a system quarterback.
Yeah.
That didn't go well.
So we've been kind of kicking this
Whoa!
around,
Whoa.
right, all morning.
Okay.
And everybody agrees that the NFL is too large to put one huge bubble over. But what if we set up a bunch of smaller bubbles, right? You blow up the AFC and NFC as we know it, and then sort of realign the divisions based on sort of geographical regions, right? So you would keep all of the California teams in one division and then add Seattle, say, right? Or over on the other side of the country, you could have the Patriots, Giants, Jets, and Buffalo. Now, there's 3 New York teams and Boston, but New York and New Jersey is basically the same thing, so that's no big deal.
I like this.
Those could be fun.
I have an idea.
And then you have mini bubbles over all of them, and then maybe that could make the season a little more
That's
manageable.
pretty cool. That makes a lot more sense.
How about this, just to avoid some clutter? Let's take like the Jets. It's really busy over there, and move them out to Bozeman or Missoula.
That's interesting.
Fill
Do like
that
a
in.
little bubble.
Yeah.
Throw in what do you got? Let's go Jacksonville. Put them in Cheyenne.
We could take the Chargers too. I mean,
Yeah.
You got the Broncos kind of floating out there.
Yeah.
They're floating a little bit. You got to get them near.
Yeah, they're bigger.
You get a couple teams on Montana, Wyoming, maybe in the Black Hills of South Dakota.
Ohio, maybe we split them
What
up.
teams were
Right.
most challenging for you to figure out?
Well, yeah, sort of the Northeast was a little weird, and then like the Broncos are just out all by themselves, so there's no real regional team to match them up with. So it's like, all right, just throw them in with the
Probably-
Vikings, I guess.
Looks like Arizona a little bit.
Yeah, that's a little tricky. The Saints are kind of funny down there.
And you got the Cowboys and Texans on kind of the border there. They could have gone either way with the Saints group, or
And so the thought being, I've mentioned this before, but USL Championship, they do this basically exact same model with all of those teams, and they all play games. I think they play each other 4 times, and then set up, a playoffs after that for a championship league. So
I like it.
Seems like we could be able to do that.
Mini bubbles.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I was the commissioner,
Yeah.
that'd be my
Send it in, mail it in.
back after this.
Well, don't say mail it in.
Send it over to Roger. He's not getting back to me.
Phone calls are welcome. 877-3DP show. We stand with our poll question.
I think we should switch it up. Everyone's choosing Carson Wentz here on which young quarterback would you start with.
All right.
We could get into what's your reaction right now. Will MLB season finish? Was what I was going to say in the beginning of the show.
It was what now?
Will the MLB season finish?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do that if you want.
What do you think?
I'm trying to be positive. I'd like to see what happens over the next week here with the Marlins and any other teams that they came in contact with. I just like, this is a hiccup. I don't know if it's sort of a premonition of what's going to happen with other teams. We're going to have positive tests. I get that. But when you have a team that might not be responsible in the moment when you have positive tests, here's something to keep an eye on. And a baseball source said this to me yesterday. Because what happens when your team is not in the playoff race? Let's say we get to late August, early September, and your team is, 20-28. And you still have games left. How diligent, conscious are they going to be? They may be like, who cares if, we test positive or the season gets shut down or our season gets shut down. I think you might be a little more lax. You might see that with some of these teams. And that's going to be, it's start to finish for everybody. Got to be fair to everybody involved in it, even if you're not going to be a playoff team. I mentioned Alex Smith's career record. Actually, it's 94 66-1, which is very good. But since 2011, 75-35-1. And the only quarterbacks who had a better winning percentage since 2011, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers. Pretty impressive there. Almost sounds like a
stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day.
I still think, these Patriot players who decided that they're not going to play this year, you've lost a couple of starters here. It's a big loss. I'm surprised that this isn't garnering more headlines, that players are opting out of playing the entire season. Yeah, McLevin.
That was another poll option. Do you think the Patriots have a winning season? Their win totals are about 9.5. You don't even know who's playing quarterback, do you?
I don't. I said a long time ago I'd never bet against Bill Belichick, so I won't bet against him. I won't bet against him. They might just eke out 9 wins, but I'm not gonna bet against him. But you got to replace Cotton and Hightower are starters on this team, and you got a quarterbacking situation that's in a state of flux. You're not sure about your wide receivers. Like you got a couple of marquee players on defense, but it comes down to handicapping that division. Because is Miami going to be a threat this year? Is Tua going to be starting for this team? Is Buffalo able to build on what they did last year with Josh Allen? And it comes down to Josh Allen. Because they got that's a good team. That's a good team. I'm not sure about him. And then you got the Jets. And the Jets somehow won 7 games last year. Can't imagine that would happen this year. But, their GM came out and said, we're not tanking this year. Well, who does come out and say they're tanking? Like, wouldn't that be the news? If you're Mark Cuban is the only guy, I think, on record and he came on our show to say that they were tanking. And he got lit up by the NBA home office for doing that. And he said, I'm just being honest here. All right, a couple of phone calls here. Let's see. Gabe in Texas. Hi, Gabe. What's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing, Dan? Happy Tuesday.
Thank you.
Just a couple things on that poll question. Out of the 4, I have to pick one, I guess. So I'm going to pick my home state guy, Dak, but only because I have to pick one of those. I'm not big on any of those guys.
All right.
And just the last few days, I've been wearing some Astros gear and stuff, getting ready for the baseball season restart. And I'm getting so much hate, when I go golf and, I wear a hat and it's like, oh, cheaters, and stuff like that. I'm getting it everywhere. It's a little much. Considering that there's been other teams that have gotten busted cheating in the last few years. So,
are you going to stick with it? Are you going to stick with being an Astros fan?
Yeah, Dan, I have to. I grew up with them. I think I am. If they got caught again or something like that, then maybe I might rethink that. But I'm going to stick with them. They're my team, Dan.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get grief, but it could be worse. You could be on the Astros and get hit by a pitch or two. Do you know who the manager?
Right.
Do you know who the manager of the Astros is, Gabe?
Dusty Baker.
All right, well done. Stay on hold, Gabe. We're going to get your address from Marvin. Will get that. We'll send you out a couple of T-shirts there because Fritzy.
That's not what you did.
Fritzy's an Astros fan. He did not know that
slipped my mind.
Dusty Baker was the manager. But thank you, Gabe. Good luck with your Astros this year. Yeah, the Astros. You still got a good team. Have we got an update on Justin Verlander yet? Fritzy, do you know what the Astros have done so far this year?
As far as their record, they've only played a couple of games. I'm going to guess they're like 2-1. That's my best guess.
3-1.
3-1. But
Yeah.
I want to know why. How did we go from out for the season to? It's just a couple of weeks.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who said that he was out for the season. Was it a reporter?
Yeah, someone was a little too quick to the.
Yes, McLevin.
Can Fritzy name last year's manager for the Astros off the top of his head under pressure?
Ooh.
Last year's manager of the Astros.
Oh.
I know. I can't. I hate being put on the spot like that.
Well, when you don't know the answer.
No, I know the answer, but I'm like, I don't know why it's escaping me for some reason.
Okay. Yes, Paulie?
No, we don't have to break. We got time, Dan.
No, we're good? Okay. All right.
I'm picturing the face. I'm happy because I know he got a lot of grief with the whole cheating thing.
Yeah.
He got accused of cheating to win a World Series. It was more than grief.
He got fired for cheating.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
GM
got fired. I'm not going to ask you to name the GM for the Astros of your team. And once again, no Astros gear the rest of this year.
The entire year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm not going to cheat and Google it. I know it'll come to me. I can't think of it at this second.
Yeah. Well, clock is ticking, Todd.
I hate this. It's terrible that I can't think of it right now.
But it's your team.
I know. So
Or is it your team? It was your team in the 80s.
I can tell you everything about the 86.
I know. Can you name, well, you should be able to name 3 players on the current team. So I won't ask you that.
But I got to get the Astros manager before the show's over.
Guy got fired for being a part of a cheating scandal.
Like Frank.
You gave me his phone number so I could reach out to him.
I did.
Tried to book him for a month.
Am I allowed to look it up on my phone?
No.
I know it'll come to me. It's terrible.
Let me go to Keith in Virginia. Hey, Keith. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Dan. First time, long time, 6'1". I'm actually in the doctor's office right now, and I just got off the scale, and it said 228.
Okay. Thank you, Keith.
Dan, I want to ask you a question. I'm a longtime Dodgers fan, and if somehow, some way, the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, should Don Roberts continue to keep his job? And I really appreciate. I like the morale that you guys do during this time, and I really appreciate. And I listen to your show every single day. And great job, man.
Thank you, Keith. You were talking about Dave Roberts, the Dodgers manager. He's going to catch heat. Even if they get to the World Series, they don't win it. He's going to catch heat. But I don't know the inner workings there. But it seems like Dave Roberts is well liked. But you just spent all that money on Mookie Betts. At some point, you're going to say, is there a weak link here? Like, why aren't we winning? And by the way, remember the owners were pleading poverty? And then all of a sudden, Mookie Betts gets a $400 million They somehow found a way to get money. Yeah, Paulie.
Dan, your Dodgers have finished in first place in the division every year since 2013. Yeah. 92 wins, 94, 92, 91, 104 wins, 92 wins, 106 wins last year. And they have 2 World Series losses.
Yeah, McLevin.
Just want to point out, at least that guy knew one of the names of the manager of his favorite team. At least he got Roberts right.
Todd, do you know the manager who got fired?
I don't know why I don't know why I'm not thinking of it. I hate this.
And you tried to book him for at least a month.
I couldn't think of Dusty Baker.
One of the biggest stories in recent sports history. Manager.
I know all the names of all the Astros
fired.
PR guys. I know the zip, the area code, and everything.
This guy got fired for a cheating
I
scandal.
know. I'll think of it.
They won the World Series, and he got fired. The GM got fired.
So frustrating. Like Jim something.
Jim something.
Jim something.
Maybe like Ron something.
It's not Jim something.
I'd probably get it with the initials. Imagine if I couldn't get it with the initials.
Yes.
By the way, everybody here is talking a lot of trash.
What?
Everybody here is talking a lot of trash. I guarantee there is not a single. Basically, we knew 2 managers out of 30 coming into the other day.
This was one of them.
This is one of the biggest.
These guys, that name is so forgettable.
You can't laugh at the irony of what Todd just said.
Well, that was funny, yeah. But I don't think Paulie would have remembered this a minute ago, by the way. He's the most forgettable manager.
I didn't understand what their reaction was.
But he still got fired. He didn't know Dusty Baker.
Am I allowed to give the answer now based on their reaction, like something with initials?
Yeah,
no, it's AJ Hinch.
Yeah, there you go. Well done, Tom.
It's not a very memorable name, even with the whole scandal and the banging of the.
It's his fault for being named AJ Hinch.
Yeah,
but that did help.
Memorable.
That their reaction, the everyone's reaction, did help. It's like, why is initials?
If he had a more memorable name, then you might have remembered it. Is what you're saying.
But not knowing
like Dusty Baker.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Like that seems like a memorable name there.
Very weak.
Well done, Todd. Well done.
No Astros gear for me.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
AJ Hinch.
Thank you. You never booked him either.
I did not.
Yeah. I'm looking at, now this is early in the season, the Dodgers big stars, Bellinger and Betts, hitting a combined 189. Rest of the team batting 327. Too early to panic, though. A.J. Hinch. Right, Todd?
A.J. Hinch.
Yep, you got it again.
Dusty Baker now.
Incredible.
It was A.J. Hinch.
Incredible. You've done it. We'll take a break. Last call for phone calls, close up shop, what we learned, what's in store tomorrow. Coming up. I have a gift. Last time Michael was on, he talked about getting snubbed by a baseball player.
Oh, gosh.
And the player was Bob Malacky. And this is what Michael said when he was talking about it. As a youngster, the pitcher Bob Malacky did not give Michael Phelps an autograph.
I was getting autographs from Orioles, and a bunch of them snubbed me. And I was kind of bummed about that.
How old?
So man, I must have been 7 years old. I mean, there's one pitcher in particular I'll never forget. I know exactly his name, but I probably won't say it. He played for the Orioles in the late 90s, and I wanted his autograph so bad, and he snubbed me. And that stuck with me my whole life. I don't even know. Do you remember the name Bob Malacky?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Bob.
Yep, you mentioned Bob Malacky.
I think when I said that, I was there. Ben McDonald was on the team as well.
Yeah.
And his wife randomly reached out to me on social media and commented about it. And I was just dying laughing. It was hysterical. So now I have a Bob Malacky baseball.
Bob Malacky baseball.
Oh, I got cards too?
Cards, a letter.
Oh my gosh.
And a Bob Malacky jersey, one of one. This is with the Nationals when he was a pitching coach. And he signed it to Michael, the greatest Olympian of all time. Best regards, Bob Malacky.
That is priceless.
So
that is amazing.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I wanted to make up for the worst day of your life with maybe the greatest day of your life. You got your autograph from Bob Malacky.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations to Jim in Ohio. He figured out to 37 and 32 for the scoreboard today. The clue for 37, you got to know when to get on base. Like you got to know when to fold him. Who's that? Kenny Rodgers. But Kenny Rodgers, the baseball player who wore number 37 from the Rangers, had a perfect game at home against the Angels. That was back in 1994 on this date. For 32, before that, just a few years earlier in 1991 on this date. The clue is Dennis the Menace. His nickname was also El Presidente. Of course, I'm talking about the Expos' Dennis Martinez, brothers with Tippy Martinez. Uniform number 32, perfect game at the Dodgers in 91. So it's a day of perfect games on this date. 1994, Kenny Rodgers, number 37. 91, Dennis Martinez of the Expos, who wore number 32. Jim in Ohio, nice job.
What's up, everybody? Marvin Prince here. Everybody, thank you so much for the emails. Got a couple right here from Philip. He says, I feel like Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes are number 1 and 2 in the league because of the mentality of the organization. They look to Patrick Mahomes and ask him what he needs. I feel like that doesn't happen in Seattle. Lots of strange first and second round picks. Who does Wilson have currently? Metcalf, Lynch, Gordon, question mark. In his tenure, Russell Wilson has not missed one game or had one losing season. Also, Russell Wilson would have 2 Super Bowls if they had ran the ball on the 1 yard line. As a 49ers fan, sorry, I just don't care if somebody's heard about that. Another one from Evan. Hey Dan, I'm a Detroit Lions fan and it is miserable. Is it worse being a fan of a lifelong disappointing team or a fan of a successful team who gets caught cheating and then receive grief for their fans for years to come? I think he wrote that wrong, or I read it wrong. But What? Man, give me the Astros all day. Sorry, Lions fans. And got one more. Somebody asked me if I was a Fleetwood Mac fan. I'm not really. I just like that song. Thunder Only Happens When It's Raining. I don't know the name of it. Queen and the Isley Brothers. Flawless bands. Great guitars, great lead singer, no weak spots. They didn't have a Ringo. Hey, Mario. Clean it up.
The Dodgers in Houston tonight for the first time since Game 5 of the 2017 World Series. 13-12, 10-inning Astros win that gave them a 3-2 series lead going back to L.A. Clayton Kershaw blew separate leads of 4-0 in the fourth inning, 7-4 in the fifth inning. In that game, the Astros hit 5 home runs in the last home game of that controversial trash can banging season. And, of course, there's a whole lot of research, indication, speculation that the Astros knew exactly what Clayton Kershaw was throwing, hitting those 5 home runs off the Dodgers pitchers. So back in Houston, how long does it take before somebody gets thrown at in that game? Even though it's an Astros home game? First inning? Maybe they wait a little bit, expecting it to be in the first inning. Todd, I'd ask you, but
I don't know anything about the Astros. I'd
nothing.
say they wait to the fourth inning.
Yeah. But yeah, Paulie.
Aren't you kind of curious if the umpires let it go? Because it's going to happen, and the umpires may not be on the side of protecting the Astros.
Yeah, but they have to be on the side of protecting players in accordance to their job. They may not like what the Astros did, but I don't know if they can plead ignorance with the commissioner and go, the Dodgers and Astros don't like each other, huh? As much as you would, the players police the game. That's, the umpire can tell you, hey, don't do that. It'll be up to the players to decide. If they're going to do something, buzz the tower there. But I wouldn't be shocked if somebody went down tonight. Another New England Patriot has opted out. Decided not to play this season. Patrick Chung, defensive back. That's 6 players with the Patriots. And what do you have? 3 or 4 starters here? This is a big deal. Yeah, McLovin.
You got to tank. Get rid of the Cam Newton deal. You tell them, sorry, Cam, not this year.
Well, why bring in Cam?
They didn't know. Maybe they didn't know all these guys were going to opt out.
Oh, so now they're deciding to tank. Yes, he.
Maybe you bring in Cam to look like you're trying, but then tell all your players, why don't you guys just sit out this year? Come back next year.
This is 6 players. It's a big deal for the Patriots. We're not even into August yet. What's the over-under on the Patriots? 9 wins? 9.5 wins? Yeah, Paulie.
Belichick will make the playoffs and get Coach of the Year award this year with no players.
Nick in Florida joining us. Hi, Nick. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Dan. How are you doing?
Good,
Thanks
sir.
for taking my call.
Yeah.
5'8", 180. I just wanted to tell you, I'm down here in Florida, and Steve Dumick was the big guy down here. I don't know if you're familiar with Steve, but he lost his battle with brain cancer a couple of years ago. And I've been looking for a new sports show, and I've definitely found it with you guys. I think you're a fantastic show, and you guys get along fantastic together. And that's all I wanted to say, Dan. I just wanted to tell you thanks for being you guys. It's a great pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Very complimentary. I thought he was going to say, like, Fritzy's the heart and soul of the show or
Doesn't
whatever.
even know who the Astro manager was or is.
Yeah. Zach in Las Vegas. Hi, Zach. What do you have for me?
Hey, I am 195.5. First time, long time. Sweet. Yeah, I was just calling. You guys were talking about Alex Smith a little bit ago and how kind of touch and go his injuries were at the beginning. I actually suffered a similar injury. I got hit by a car and had similar injuries. And the blood vessels and things broke down in my leg, and I actually had to get my leg amputated.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so it went the other way, and it was kind of just within a couple of days, too. So it kind of shows you, just backs up how touch-and-go injuries like that can be, especially when there's multiple breaks. So,
did you know at the time when they brought you in that you could lose part of your leg?
Oh, yeah, it was a foregone conclusion that one of them was going to be gone because it was so badly crushed. The other one was crushed really badly, and it kind of, one part of my leg went the way that Alex Smith went, where the blood vessels recovered and the flesh-eating bacteria didn't take hold on that leg. But the right leg had the blood vessels all break down and got some flesh-eating bacteria, and they had to amputate it. So kind of not as bad as it could be, but they had to take one of the legs.
Well, thanks for calling in, Zach. I just watching that Alex Smith rehab, what he went through is, it's incredible. But thank you, Zach, for sharing that. Luke in Alabama. Hi, Luke. What do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan. Shout out to Zach there. Hard to follow that up.
Oh, I know.
My question was, do you think that Schefter's going to come out in a couple of months maybe with a report that Belichick was encouraging players to opt out, kind of as a hold my beer to the Jets trading Jamal Adams? Like, you think you're going to be the worst? No. Watch this.
It's not crazy. I mean, it sounds crazy, but you start to think about this season and what is normal. Thank you, Luke. Call back in a couple of months. If it happens to be true, then, Luke, you can take a victory lap. Yeah, McLevin.
Couldn't you argue if the Patriots were all in, they would have tried to keep Tom Brady a little harder? I mean, they obviously are ready to move on to a new generation.
Well, he was going to still cost you.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think Belichick would be doing that. Who's going to be? Somebody's got to be the worst team. Is there the worst team in the NFL right now? Is Jacksonville in there? Is Cincinnati in there again?
Yeah.
Is Washington in there?
Yeah.
Who else are we missing here?
Detroit, the Giants. I'm just going last year's draft.
Based off the Vegas, Jets, Panthers, Bengals, the Washington football team, and the Jaguars.
Panthers lost everyone.
Yeah. Why keep Christian McCaffrey? Why not try to trade him? If I'm Matt Rule and I'm going to take over this team, as much as I love having Christian McCaffrey out there, you got to pay a running back $70 million. And you're not winning anytime soon. Remember when the Jets were deciding between Matt Rule and Adam Gase? I know. Final results of the poll question, McLevin.
I never changed it. Which quarterback would you start with? Carson Wentz runs away with it for the day.
Okay.
But still not top 100?
No, it's unbelievable. Let's go around the room what we learned on the program. I'll start back left. Todd?
Other than the Astros' current manager, in spite of what we've all witnessed firsthand, you insist that you don't let listen rankings upset you and ruin your day.
No. Like, this top 100 doesn't bother me, but it is voted on by the players. That's the curious part of this. What is it that the players don't see or like in Carson Wentz? This isn't the media. This isn't coaches. These are players. Yeah, McClellan.
I learned that Steve Palazzolo for Pro Football Focus is called the pitching tower of Pisa. We looked it up. So lame.
That's not a good nickname. Seton O'Connor.
Buster Posey basically made Steve Palazzolo's minor league career.
Yeah, for a brief period of time. Paulie?
Fritzy blamed A.J. Hinch's parents for bad naming for not being able to remember his name.
What did I learn, Todd?
It's a head-scratcher. Prescott and Cousins in NFL Network Top 100 over Wentz.
What we learned brought to you by Raycon Wireless Earbuds. The way to go. Get 15% off your Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. Thanks for the phone calls, emails, tweets, all-around support. Tomorrow, the music video from Tyler, the Moderator.